All right, let's begin. Good morning, everyone. I hope in the last class it was clear to you guys with respect to the syllabus when it comes to ancient and medieval India, how we are going to proceed further. In that, we had unfolded the story, we had understood about the three ages that we had experienced in our country in the name of Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. When I say Bronze Age, it corresponds to which topic in ancient India? Indus Valley civilization, students. It is also known as the first urbanization in our country. Why do we call it urbanization? Because there is emergence of cities and there is long distance trade that is going on as a part of the Harappan civilization. Keeping that in mind, I had also spoken about the beginning of Iron Age in our country. Can anyone tell me that when we talk about the beginning of Iron Age, what time period does it correspond to? Later Vedic period, indeed. So, when I talk about later Vedic period, I know that the Iron Age has begun. But what is the one point that stands out? The nature of iron tools. Hunting tools are predominating. We do not find the use of agricultural tools made out of iron in the later Vedic period. It is a process, students, that is only going to happen during the second urbanization. And as a result, we see that in the second urbanization, what is happening? There is agricultural surplus, which will lead to multiplicity of professions, craft specialization, trade, emergence of coins, and ultimately emergence of cities and empires. Okay, so this is a process that we have to discuss, and in that, students, in today's class we are going to start with our first topic, which is the Indus Valley civilization. So the idea is that we are going to write down key pointers on the board. It will be like running notes. Okay, it will be like running notes. Apart from that, at the end of the lecture, what will we do? We are going to, I'm going to share a PPT with you guys. Okay, I'll share a PPT with you guys, and I think that would be enough to navigate majority of the sources. Notes बनाने का तरीका क्या बताया है मैंने आपको? हमारे पास में 10 रजिस्टर नहीं होने चाहिए कि भाई अभी मैं एनसीईआरटी पढ़ रही हूँ तो मैंने एनसीईआरटी का अलग रजिस्टर बना लिया, फिर उसके बाद मैं कोई पब्लिकेशन पढ़ने बैठ गई, सो दैट टाइम आई मेड अ डिफरेंट रजिस्टर. Okay, don't do that. Instead, keep a single register wherein you start with Harappan civilization, whatever I teach you in the class, the running notes. Then apart from that, even that PPT, key pointers अपने हाथ से लिखो. वो PPT कहाँ खो जाएगी ना, एक point of time पे आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा ना, आप उसके printouts कभी पढ़ोगे. Trust me, the only way that you can absorb the PPT that I have created is in the manner wherein you go back home and you read it immediately and make your own notes. Are you trying to understand? Yes, it will be a waste of time altogether, students. अगर आप लोगों ने उसको रख लिया कि फिर कभी पढ़ लेंगे, वो कभी नहीं हो पाता. ठीक है? So this is the idea, and then I'm going to also give you some recommended readings for more information on Indus Valley civilization. You're going to read them, absorb the key points, and if you find anything which is not what you are unable to understand that, then definitely we can have a discussion. चलिए इसी के साथ में start करते हैं with our first topic, which is Indus Valley civilization. In that context, students, there are some key terms that we have spoken about. That is, this is the first urbanization in our country. Apart from that, it is known as the Bronze Age civilization. However, students, it will be very important to note that despite the fact that we had started making bronze, okay, despite the fact that we had started making bronze, this bronze was of a low grade quality and it was rarely used. It was of a low grade quality and it was rarely used. Okay, so next question ये बनता है, then ma'am, which was the metal which was predominating the Indus Valley civilization? The answer is that mostly we are using what? We are using copper. तो ब्रॉन्ज एज सिविलाइजेशन है तो सही स्टूडेंट्स, लेकिन हम देख रहे हैं क्या डिफरेंस है. हम ब्रॉन्ज जो यूज कर रहे हैं वो लो ग्रेड क्वालिटी का है और रेयरली हम इसको यूज कर रहे हैं. बिफोर वी स्टार्ट द इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन स्टूडेंट्स, it will be very important and interesting to note the discovery of Indus Valley civilization. What happened, students? You will see that in the 19th century, in the 19th century, what happened? We had a guy whose name was Alexander Cunningham. Have you heard of him? He was one person who was involved in archaeological and historical researches. So, in the 19th century, we had a guy whose name was Alexander Cunningham, and this guy happened to be on the site of Harappa. ठीक है, इसको लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपका इंटरेस्ट बनाने के लिए है. Okay, this guy happened to be in Harappa. When students, he saw the place and he tried to examine that location. What happened? He saw it and he was like, शायद 2-3 साल से 200-300 साल से ज्यादा पुराना नहीं है. Not very important. Let's go back. Okay. So at that point of time, even when he had seen this place, he could not see the significance of this particular area. Later on, students, you will see that in 20th century, we have another director of ASI whose name is Sir John Marshall. Under his guidance, we again start re-exploring the sites of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. As a result, students, you will see that around 1924, the discovery of Indus Valley civilization is done. ठीक है भाई, ये तो एक इसमें क्या इंटरेस्ट है, हो गई होगी डिस्कवरी. ठीक है, अब बात ये है, लुक एट दिस ईयर. आपको कोई बहुत डिटेल देने की मुझे जरूरत नहीं है, बट इफ यू सी दिस पर्टिकुलर ईयर, कैसी परिस्थिति में थे हम? नॉन कोऑपरेशन, वी वर अंडर द क्लचेस ऑफ द ब्रिटिश एम्पायर, मैम. ओके, एंड इन दिस पीरियड इज योर colonial period. In this period, we are in the clutches of the colonial empire and we are treated as second-class citizens in our own country. We were deliberately told by the colonials that you are barbaric people and your civilization amounts to nothing. Keeping that in mind, students, the discovery of Harappan civilization boosted the morale of Indians at a time wherein the national movement was going on. It kind of became a backbone, a source of strength for Indians, that not only do we have a very strong, very unique civilization, it dates back to being one of the oldest civilizations which was contemporary to the popular Egypt and Mesopotamian civilizations. Understood? तो ये वो समय है जहां पर हम लोग ऑलरेडी कुछ ऐसी परिस्थितियों से निकल रहे हैं जहां हमारे देश के लोगों को एक बूस्ट चाहिए था, और नेशनल मूवमेंट में हम देख रहे हैं इस तरह की हिस्टोरिकल रिसर्चेस का बहुत बड़ा रोल रहा है. दे हैव यूनाइटेड अस एज इंडियंस एंड मेड अस बिलीव दैट आवर कल्चर इज समथिंग दैट इज वर्थ फाइटिंग फॉर, एंड एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम दिस बिकेम अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्कवरी. ठीक है, तो इसकी प्लेसमेंट काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जिस टाइम पर हमें इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में पता चलता है तो हम देखते हैं कि इसका प्लेसमेंट नेशनल मूवमेंट में बड़ा हेल्पफुल रहा. ओके, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट स्टूडेंट्स, यू विल सी क्या करना है. ओके, गॉट इट. ठीक है, अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट स्टूडेंट्स, यू विल सी दैट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन, आपको सबसे पहली चीज जो इसके अंदर समझनी है वो है ज्योग्राफिकल एक्सटेंट. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, वी स्टार्ट इमेजिनिंग दैट वेयर एम आई स्टैंडिंग इन द मैप ऑफ द कंट्री. Okay, where am I standing in the map of the country, and accordingly we place features in that civilization or that empire. Got it? Keeping that in mind, Indus Valley civilization की अगर बात करी जाए तो इसके नाम में ही छिपा हुआ है कि Indus Valley civilization कहाँ थी. Indus and its tributaries. Okay, so students, when we talk about the Indus Valley civilization, it is flourishing around the area of Indus River and its tributaries. अगर हम लोग कंट्री वाइज देखें, आज के टाइम से जो कंट्रीज बनी हुई हैं उस एक्सटेंट के बेसिस पर देखें तो देयर आर 3 कंट्रीज which are encompassing the sites of Indus Valley civilization, which include Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. Majority of the sites, the key sites, the most important sites of Harappan civilization are now a part of Pakistan, including what? Including Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Okay. Apart from that, students, if we talk about India specifically, and if we talk about the contemporary states, in that context, the geographical extent of Harappan civilization may have included the states such as Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat. Apart from that, we have few sites in Maharashtra as well, but they are very few. In that, there is only one site which is important, and majority of the sites are flourishing in these areas. ठीक है. अफगानिस्तान की अगर बात करी जाए तो अफगानिस्तान में अपने पास कोई बहुत ज्यादा साइट्स नहीं है. ठीक है. अफगानिस्तान में वी हैव आइसोलेटेड साइट्स, and those isolated sites include Shortugai and Mundigak. Shortugai and Mundigak. अगर तुम साइट वाइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन देखो, so there are multiple sites in Harappan civilization, and this is a fairly large extent as we can see. ठीक है. इधर उधर आपको एक दो स्टेट्स में एक दो आइसोलेटेड साइट्स मिल जाएंगी, लेकिन जो सबसे प्रोमिनेंट साइट्स हैं वो आपके पास में इन्हीं एरियाज के अंदर हैं. ऑलराइट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट स्टूडेंट्स, हम लोग देखते हैं दैट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दीज साइट्स, अब हमारे पास में नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या बन के आएगा कि इस कंटेंट को हाउ डू वी यूज दिस कंटेंट. इट्स वेरी फैक्चुअल. ओके. व्हाट डू? वी डू प्रोफाइलिंग ऑफ द साइट्स. प्रोफाइलिंग ऑफ द साइट्स का मतलब क्या होता है? लेट्स से आई हैव मोहनजोदारो इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, सो आई विल राइट डाउन मोहनजोदारो, present country, the river which is passing by, if there is a river passing by, then I will write its name, and the key excavations that had happened in that particular site. Now, since this is a very factual data, I have already created a table for you guys, which you can go through. In that context, students, we'll have a look at certain images at the same time. So, this map I have taken from the book of Dr. Upinder Singh. Okay. And here, as you can see, all this, the parts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and then northwestern part of India will incorporate majority of the Harappan sites, especially in their mature phase. Okay. There is a difference I had told you of early, mature and later. उसको भी लिख लेंगे एक बार के लिए. But right now we know that majority of the sites were flourishing in the mature phase. जहां जहां पे डॉट्स बहुत ज्यादा हैं, ओके, जहां जहां पे आप देखेंगे डॉट्स जो बहुत ज्यादा हैं, दिस मीन्स दीज आर क्लस्टर्स ऑफ साइट. द आइडिया इज दैट हाउ डू वी यूज दिस पर्टिकुलर इंफॉर्मेशन. ओके, हाउ डू वी यूज दिस इंफॉर्मेशन? You need to do profiling of the sites. Let's say I have Lothal. I will say Lothal is in Gujarat. There was a dockyard that was found at Lothal. There is a fire altar, etc. Keeping that in mind, if we proceed further, this is what I have exactly done for you. Let's say we have the first site, which is Harappa. Then we have present state. And then we have the river, which is passing by from Harappa. And all of these are what? These are all the important excavations that had been done and unearthed during these excavations. हमारे को ये सारा सामान मिला है basically वहां से. Okay? Question इस तरह से बन सकता है. For instance, the sculpture of Mother Goddess was found at Mohenjo-daro. A statement. The answer is false. Second, we have matched the following kind of questions. There are only 4 to 5 types in which UPSC creates questions. Okay. So, in that context, Either you can have a statement based question or you can have a match the following question. So in that, maybe you can have names of either of these specimens that have been found and then the location which is given. Understood? Since it's absolutely factual, that is why I have created this table which you can use later on and try to memorize it. Conceptually, we don't have anything as such. हाँ, यहाँ पर कई चीजें हैं जो काफी ज्यादा पॉपुलर हुई, जैसे मदर गॉडेस का स्कल्पचर हुआ, बहुत पॉपुलर है, ठीक है, तो हमें याद रखना है कि भाई ये हड़प्पा में मिला था. उसके अलावा इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन is the civilization in which we had started producing cotton textile for that matter, and keeping that in mind, we have found a fragment of cotton from Mohenjo-daro. Okay. Apart from that, you will see that the first traces of worship of Shiva in the form of Pashupati has been traced from Indus Valley civilization. So again, you need to remember the location कि भाई मोहनजोदारो में मिला है, हड़प्पा में मिला है. इस मोमेंट पे जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो आसान लगता है, but when you have to recall it once you're done with ancient, medieval, colonial, then it becomes little bit difficult, hence consistent revision. Okay, so these students, as you can see, are multiple sites including Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. Then we have Kalibangan, it is in Rajasthan. Then we have Sukta-Gendor, it is in Baluchistan. Chanu-daro. This particular site will be a little bit important. The reason being, students, when we talk about Chanu-daro, this is an industrial site. ठीक है? यहाँ पर आप बोलें, what is an industrial site, ma'am? In India, if you talk about the ancient period, even in the contemporary times, it's something that's a part of our culture, and that is wearing elaborate jewelry. Even the male were really fond of wearing jewelry, especially in ancient Indian period. Keeping that in mind, you will see a lot of bead production. Bead, these small circles made out of precious or semi-precious stones. So bead production was a very popular craft during the Harappan civilization, and a dedicated industrial site for manufacturing such items is Chanu-daro. So question can be like that, with respect to Indus Valley civilization, consider the following sites, और आपको 3-4 जगह के नाम दे दिए. Next आपसे पूछा जाएगा, select the site which was an industrial site during Indus Valley civilization, and the answer will be Chanu-daro. Maybe they can get a step further and ask you about the location as well. Got it? ठीक है? So this is how you are going to use these facts and try to understand that how it can be incorporated into a question. Then we have Rangapur, we have Rakhigadi, we have Surkotada, and of course we have Dholavira. These two sites, students, are particularly very important. One is Surkotada and the second one is Dholavira. Right now, I'll give you a very short introduction with respect to Surkotada. Okay. When we talk about Surkotada, this was a place wherein we had found some remains which may or may not belong to a horse. Okay. Which may or may not belong to a horse. As a result, there is a debate. What is the debate? That is something which we are going to proceed further when we are talking about animal domestication. तब मैं आपको बताऊंगी. तो अभी के लिए बस आपको ये पता है कि आगे जाके मैम एक डिबेट के बारे में बताने वाली हैं with respect to horse. Apart from that, we have one more site which is Dholavira. Is Dholavira a UNESCO World Heritage Site? Yes? One second. Rupesh, we do not get map based questions. There is no need to mark sites on the map. Alright. So, when we talk about Dholavira, it's quite unique, it's quite significant, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Did we get the tag recently? Yes. Now, how do you think we get a UNESCO World Heritage Site tag? You have to wait.
We have two ways. Either they need to be culturally important.
Either there is this historical cultural background, or otherwise there should be some significance with respect to nature, ecosystem, etc. Okay, that is a prerequisite to even consider a site in the first place. After that, students, what happens? UNESCO World Heritage Site is anyway a very important topic when it comes to art and culture. Okay, when it comes to art and culture, it's anyway a very important topic. And keeping that in mind, how do you analyze any site? हमारे पास में लेट्स से महाबलीपुरम टेम्पल के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ गया, ओके, लेट्स से अजंता केव्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ गया, लेट्स से धोलावीरा के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आ गया. नाउ द आइडिया इज दैट probably if that site is in news, then the question may come directly from the site of UNESCO statements. Especially considering Dholavira, maybe we do not have a lot of points which may be already covered in your routine sources. But let's say if you have a temple, okay, at that point of time you may feel that where is this sculpture's data coming from? I don't know this painting was a part of this particular temple. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what happens? UNESCO, in order to get the tag of UNESCO World Heritage Site, every country prepares a dossier. Okay, you prepare a dossier. Dossier is something which will help you understand the most outstanding points of any particular site that we are nominating to get the tag. That dossier always has some bullet points which have key features of the site. And where do you find this information? You find this information on UNESCO World Heritage Sites, UNESCO World Heritage ka website. Okay, so any day, if you are reading about a temple, if you're reading about a site and you know that the tag is given, how do we do the best research in that context? बस उस चीज का नाम लिखेंगे, उसके आगे गूगल में लिखेंगे यूनेस्को, और आपको बहुत जो है अच्छे से इसका डेटा मिल जाएगा. जो हमारे साथ क्लास में कवर हो रही है, दैट इज परफेक्ट. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, फॉर फ्यूचर पर्पसेस व्हेन यू डू रिसर्च, दिस विल बी वेरी वेरी हेल्पफुल. ओके, एनी साइट की फीचर्स और उसके आगे लिख दो यूनेस्को. समझ में आया? इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में स्टूडेंट्स आप देखेंगे दैट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट धोलावीरा, its dossier, when its dossier was prepared, the main features which were highlighted were the unique water management system. In Dholavira, we know that it is located in Gujarat. Is it something which is a very rainfall fed area? No, it's comparatively arid, right? Keeping that in mind, students, we had very amazing water management systems that were created. Not only Gujarat, you will also find such kind of systems in Rajasthan. Even in Delhi, have you seen this concept of Bauli? CP side, we have Ugrasen ki Bauli. Now, what are these? These are water conservation systems. Yes, and this is something that helps us in irrigation purposes as well. How? For the irrigation purposes, because we divert the water channel towards the fields. In that context, धोलावीरा की अगर स्पेसिफिकली बात करी जाए तो यहाँ पर हमारे को बहुत ही यूनिक वाटर मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम और वाटर कंजर्वेशन सिस्टम देखने को मिलता है. एंड दिस वाज द की हाईलाइट ऑफ द डोसियर व्हिच वाज प्रिपेयर्ड बाय अस दैट हेल्प्ड धोलावीरा in getting the tag of UNESCO World Heritage Site. The moment Dholavira got the tag, the next year it was in our civil services examination, and there was only a single line that was asked to us, which is reflected in the first point. Which Harappan site is known for its unique water management system? And the answer was Dholavira. तो ऐसे कोई बहुत in depth जाके questions नहीं आते हैं. Since we have so many facts, we tend to get confused. It's not that we'll go very deeper, but it is organized in such a way जहां पर जब आपको इतना facts पढ़ना पड़ जाएगा तो इस point पे आप फिर भूल जाते हैं. ओके, तो इस तरह की साइट्स जो हैं इनको अपने को मल्टीपल टाइम्स रिवाइज करना है. प्रोसीडिंग फर्दर स्टूडेंट्स, वी हैव अंडरस्टूड अबाउट द मेजर साइट्स. ओके, you have to remember all the places or all the things that were excavated from these areas. And apart from that, now we are going to proceed further and actually talk about the essential features of Harappan civilization. पहले एक बार हेडिंग देंगे. Features of Indus Valley civilization. Before we start talking about the features of the Indus Valley civilization, I would like to ask you a question. What do you understand by the term historical sources? What is a historical source? Hanji? Yes, my online students as well. What is a historical source?
Those things which are required to provide evidences to our past, to past evidences
Exactly. Okay.
in chronological order.
ओके ठीक है. मेन बात यही थी कि भाई वी नीड टू सब्सटैंशिएट हिस्ट्री. मैं आपको बोलूं, आई वोक अप इन द मॉर्निंग and in my dream XYZ god came and he told me that there was this civilization that was there and these things happened. मान लोगे? You need to have a backing of something, that I have found something, and if I study this particular area, if I study this particular specimen, then I come to know that any particular human or any particular civilization had flourished. Keeping that in mind, indeed, many students have pointed out also. Okay. In that context, sources are a backing. It is an evidence to understand how history had unfolded throughout time. ठीक है? इसमें what are the categories? ध्यान से सुनेंगे. What are the two categories of historical sources? There are only two. And archaeological sources. That's it. There are only two categories of sources. Broadest categories are two. We can subdivide it further, which is literary and archaeological. Which is literary and archaeological. If I use the term inscription, if I use the term inscription, is it a literary or a archaeological source? हाँ? लिटरेरी भी बोल रहे हैं, आर्कियोलॉजिकल भी बोल रहे हैं, बोथ बोल रहे हैं, बोथ बोल रहे हैं. ओके, इट्स अ आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्स. Literary sources encapsulates books, manuscripts, plays, drama. If you talk about an inscription, it is a very limited content which is written on a solid surface. It's more of instructional and directional in nature. It can be divided into much more categories, but definitely when we say the term literary sources, it will almost always incorporate your hugely written manuscripts and books. If I talk about coins, are they literary sources or archaeological sources? What else can be put in archaeological sources? Seals, sculptures, paintings, manuscript. क्या होता है manuscript? पहले डिफाइन करो मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट. मेन्यू माने मेरे हाथ से लिखा हुआ स्क्रिप्ट. इज इट आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्स? इट्स अ लिटरेरी सोर्स. ओके, सो वी हैव सील्स, वी हैव पेंटिंग्स, वी हैव स्कल्पचर्स, वी हैव पॉटरी, वी हैव मटीरियल रिमेन्स एज इन anything that we had used on a daily basis. It can even incorporate the clothes if they are found. Okay. Now, when I talk about literary sources, how can you classify them on the basis of their theme? थीम के बेसिस पर कैसे क्लासिफाई कर सकते हैं? ये बहुत पॉपुलर कल्चर का पार्ट है, इसके लिए इतिहास पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. सोचो किस किस तरह की किताबें होती हैं? हाँ, वेरी गुड. रिलीजियस टेक्स्ट. रिलीजियस जो चीज नहीं होती उसे क्या कहते हैं? नॉन रिलीजियस. वेरी गुड, सही तो है. वी हैव religious sources, we have secular sources. Okay, in secular sources you can put foreign accounts as well, or you can also use it as a third category. Okay, so we have foreign accounts. ठीक है. Now, when I talk about these sources, the combination of both will result in the most objective and best type of history. If I only rely on either of the sides, it has its pros and cons. For instance, literature has a lot of cons in terms of exaggeration. If I have a political history source of any king, which was written by his court historian, will he ever dare to say something bad about him? Not possible. That's why it's a partial source. Okay? That is why I will try to match up those events with some kind of archaeological background to understand whether that event had actually happened or not. On the other hand, if I only rely on these, then I may not be able to understand the soft aspects of the society. So as to how the humans were thinking, what was the social setup like, how were women behaving, what was the society like. So the soft aspects of the society that cannot be understood from material remains. ओके, पहनावा कैसा हुआ, लोगों के आपस में रिलेशनशिप कैसे थे, चाइल्डहुड का कॉन्सेप्ट क्या था, ये सब चीजें जो हैं इनका एक बेटर मिरर हमारे को कब देखने को मिलता है? जब हम उसे लिटरेचर में प्लेस्ड हुआ हुआ देखते हैं. बिकॉज स्पेशली इन दोज सोर्सेज which are for entertainment purposes, you tend to understand about the core ideologies of the society. Understood? Hence, the best way to draw out history is to make a combination of both. But the problem is that there should be availability in the first place. What if there is no availability? Now, this is the reason why before starting the features of IVC, I spoke to you about this point. In the Indus Valley civilization, we had already started a writing system. And the script students that we had was known as the pictographic script. क्या होती है pictographic script? Just pictures. एक मूवी आई थी द ममी, उसके अंदर वो इमोटेप उनके पीछे भाग रहा होता है और उनको सडनली वो ब्लैक बुक को डिकोड करना होता है. एंड दे लाइक कि व्हाट डज दिस बर्ड मीन, व्हाट डज दिस इमेज मीन. ओके, सो इट्स कंप्लीटली बेस्ड ऑन सिंबल्स दैट नीड्स टू बी डिकोडेड. Now, unfortunately for us, the Harappan script has not yet been deciphered. तो ये वाला पार्ट तो हो गया फेल, ये है ही नहीं अपने पास, है ही नहीं हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन में ये. बिकॉज इफ द स्क्रिप्ट इज डिसाइफर्ड देन वी मे गेट मोर इनसाइट्स, बट राइट नाउ दिस इज नॉट डन. हेंस व्हाट डू वी रिलाई ऑन? दीज थिंग्स. इसमें से ये है क्या हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन में? बार्टर सिस्टम था. व्हेन डिड कॉइन्स अपीयर इन आवर कंट्री फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम? कल लिखवाया तो था. Second urbanization happened in 600 BC. Second urbanization happened in 600 BC. First coins appeared. Atre, it's written on the board, literary sources incorporates foreign accounts. Okay, so since we do not have literary sources here, we are only relying on archaeological sources, and in that too we find that there is not a lot of information. हम ज्यादातर रिलाई कर रहे हैं मटेरियल रिमेन्स पे. मटेरियल रिमेन्स में भी हम आर्किटेक्चर जो पीछे छूट गया है उस पे रिलाई करेंगे, और जो डे टू डे के ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं उन पे रिलाई करके इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन जो है उसकी नॉलेज बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं. ठीक है. नाउ since the most important thing which is left behind in Indus Valley civilization were actually the remains of the towns, from that the most important thing that I can figure out, the most essential feature that I can figure out was the feature of town planning. तो पहले अपन एक बार क्या करते हैं, देख लेते हैं क्या क्या फीचर्स हम देखने वाले हैं. हम टाउन प्लानिंग के बारे में समझेंगे. ठीक है. टाउन प्लानिंग के बारे में हम क्राफ्ट्स के बारे में समझेंगे, कौन से क्राफ्ट्स थे और हम उन्हें कहां से प्रोक्योर कर रहे थे, एटलीस्ट रॉ मटेरियल कहां से प्रोक्योर कर रहे थे. इसके अलावा स्टूडेंट्स आप देखेंगे, अपार्ट फ्रॉम टाउन प्लानिंग एंड क्राफ्ट्स, वी आर ऑल्सो गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ एनिमल्स वर डोमेस्टिकेटेड. उस जगह का नाम बताएं. प्लीज टेल मी द नेम ऑफ दैट प्लेस और साइट which I just told you will be important in animal domestication. नहीं, surcotada. Okay. Apart from that, we are going to understand about political organization under Harappan civilization, and we are also going to understand about the religious practices. These are your core essential features of Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization से सिर्फ प्रीलिम्स में नहीं, मेंस में भी क्वेश्चन आते हैं. हमारे पास में अभी रिसेंट 2-3 साल में नहीं आए, लेकिन उससे पहले हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन के फीचर्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आते थे. और बेस्ट पार्ट ये है कि हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन में ये एक ही क्वेश्चन बनता है. सो एक्सपेक्टेड में कि आईवीसी से जीएस1 में क्या आ सकता है, एक ही क्वेश्चन आएगा, और वो है व्हाट आर द फीचर्स ऑफ हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन. वी हैव टू मोल्ड इट इन डिफरेंट वेज बट द कंटेंट विल बी सेम. तो एसेंस में जीएस1 के हिसाब से आपको हमेशा याद रखना है कि मुझे ये सारे पॉइंट्स याद होने चाहिए, इनके ऊपर सब्जेक्टिव आंसर नहीं आता. ऑलराइट, एट द एंड ऑफ द चैप्टर वी आर गोइंग टू डू प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस एज वेल, and there will be much more clear to you. ठीक है. इसी के साथ आगे बढ़ते हैं और एक एक टॉपिक को जूम इन करना शुरू करते हैं, स्टार्टिंग विथ टाउन प्लान. हेडिंग देंगे टाउन प्लानिंग. स्टूडेंट्स, when I talk about town planning, you will see that majority of these cities that were a part of the Indus Valley civilization were divided into two parts. Yes, these two parts included the upper town, which is on a raised platform, and we have the lower town. The lower town, as pointed out, by the historian students, was generally for, why is it not good? For residential purposes. Whereas in the upper town, it is suggested that people who may have some kind of administrative importance were living. So maybe it was a administrative center. क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई रिटर्न सोर्सेज नहीं है, इनफैक्ट कोई बहुत ज्यादा सोर्सेज हैं ही नहीं, इस वजह से आप देखेंगे that no matter from where you read about Indus Valley civilization, there will be a lot of may, okay, instead of it was there. Why? Because we are trying to derive knowledge out of what we have found till now. Maybe as time proceeds, or if we find something different which gives us a short point of view with respect to IBC, then the chapters may change. Alright, at this moment, with respect to Citadel, we are assuming that since it's on a higher platform, there may be some people of more importance in the society who may have been doing the administrative work, and they were living in this higher platform, which is known as the upper town or the Citadel. पहली बात तो ये हो गई, किसी किसी साइट के अंदर आपको अपर टाउन और लोअर टाउन के बीच में एक मिडिल टाउन भी मिल जाएगा. In some sites, we see that the city is divided into 3 parts: upper, middle, lower. Clear? Okay. Now, when I talk about the lower town, I have told you that the normal people reside here. It is a residential area. In that context, students, some of the key features with respect to the town planning of Harappan cities include that here the streets were laid on a grid pattern. Grid pattern क्या होता है? It looks something like this. The grid pattern, the usage of grid pattern, why is it important? Why is it important? भाई आज जैसे मेरे पास ये क्लास है, लेट्स से, ठीक है, and I want to utilize this space properly. If I want to utilize this space properly, can I put things haywire here and there? No. For effective utilization of a large space, we see within town planning, the usage of grid pattern is something that proves to be very effective and beneficial, instead of making buildings in a haywire manner. Apart from that, you will see that the streets here, interestingly, are intersecting at a 90-degree angle. One of the most interesting features is with respect to the construction material. In Harappan civilization, students, we are using burnt bricks. चलो सबसे पहले तो ये बताओ, are bricks a naturally occurring thing? They are not. We have to make them. Okay. Apart from that, when I use the term burnt or baked, it needs even more specialization. The usage of burnt brick is only found in Indus Valley civilization. It is not found in the contemporary पड़ोसी civilizations. इजिप्ट और मेसोपोटामिया में नहीं यूज होती थी burnt bricks, खाली हमारे यहाँ पर हुई हैं, which shows that if we talk about the advancement, then in comparison to our counterparts, at least in this particular sector, we were faring much better. समझ में आया? ठीक है. तो अगर मैं आपसे बोलूं जल्दी जल्दी मुझे टाउन प्लानिंग के बारे में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट बता दो, तो आप लोग क्विकली रिवीजन में क्या बोलेंगे? मैम, वी हैव मोस्टली अपर टाउन, लोअर टाउन. व्हाट डू वी कॉल अपर टाउन? व्हाट डू वी कॉल लोअर टाउन? Lower town has a residential area. Okay. When I talk about upper town, what kind of people may have inhabited the upper town? Administrative people. मैंने कहीं भी आपको ये नहीं कहा है कि यहाँ कोई राजा रह रहा है. ठीक है, इस बात को याद रखेंगे. Apart from that, if I talk about lower town and I talk about the arrangement of the houses or the city, is it done on any particular pattern? Grid pattern. What is the effectiveness of the grid pattern? Effective utilization of the space. If I talk about the streets, what is the uniqueness? They intersect on 90-degree angles. Okay. Apart from that, if I talk about the material of construction, what is something that stands out? Use of burnt bricks. Okay. ठीक है भाई. Let's also talk about the manner in which the houses were made. Now, when I talk about the houses, students, you will find a single room structure also, and a multiple room structure also. Can this information be used to understand anything about the economic differences in the society? In the contemporary times, if you want to understand the finances of a person, आप ये तो पूछोगे नहीं और भाई कितना कमाते हो, सीधे तो नहीं पूछ सकते. There are few questions from which we try to understand these aspects of any human. We'll ask them, where do you live? Yes, if somebody says defense colony, so we understand automatically, okay, rich guy. Okay. You ask them, what kind of house do you have? They say it's an independent bungalow. They say it's a flat. They say it's a 1 BHK, etc. And that helps us in understanding. Just reverse engineer it here as well. If somebody has a house which is 5 rooms, we know that that person is richer in comparison to somebody who has 1 room. And this shows us that due to the presence of different kind of houses, there may be some kind of economic stratification in the society. यानी कि अमीरी गरीबी वाला कॉन्सेप्ट हो सकता है. समझ में आया? Okay. We are also going to talk about 2 standout examples, outstanding examples. ठीक है. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमारे पास में एक जगह है जिसका नाम है ग्रेट बाथ. ठीक है. और उसके अलावा है हमारे पास में एक ग्रेट ग्रैनरी. These are what? These are 2 outstanding examples. Okay. These are 2 outstanding examples. Mohammed, please wait for the questions at the end of the lecture. Let us first complete it and then we are going to take all the questions. Alright, so we have 2 outstanding examples with respect to Harappan cities or the kind of architecture that has been excavated. Okay, यहाँ पे अपने पास ग्रेट बाथ है और ग्रैनरी है. एक एक करके इनका डिस्कशन करते हैं. Okay, I'll have 2. Let's start with some images and then gradually we'll proceed towards Great Bath. This is an image, again it's a sectional view that I've taken from the book of Dr. Rupinder Singh, and it's a sectional view of the main street in a Harappan city. The idea is that it is showing you how the houses were arranged. So there is a main street and then there is these small lanes that are going in between. The gates of the houses, instead of opening on the main street, used to open in the smaller streets. Okay. Apart from that, the most important construction, students, isko bhi dekhte hain. The most important construction which is very outstanding was actually the Great Bath. ठीक है. Great Bath की अगर बात करी जाए, so you can simply see it seems like a water tank. Seems like a swimming pool, to be honest. Okay. But the idea is that, of course, at that point of time, this may not have been the concept that summer vacation is happening, so we'll go to the pool. Okay. In that context, when we talk about Great Bath, it is suggested that this particular area may have had some kind of ritualistic significance. In that context, do you think that getting into the water or rising from the water, that kind of a ritual is a part of any religion even in the contemporary times? होता है ऐसा? क्या होता है? Yes बोलने से क्या होता है? मैंने बोला था ना, substantiate करेंगे आप अपने statements को. Christianity में भी एक popular तरीका है, baptism. You now rise as a Christian. Yes, so there may be some kind of ritualistic bathing that was happening in the Great Bath. That is one idea. Second idea is that if you look at the construction, the water was not seeping out of the Great Bath. The water was not at all seeping out of the Great Bath, and this shows us the achievement, the architectural skill of the people of Harappan civilization. So when you study Great Bath, you have two aspects to understand. Number one, you will understand that it may have some kind of ritualistic significance, which is shedding light on the religious aspects of Harappan civilization. Second is that since the water is not at all seeping and this is a huge construction altogether, this is kind of an architectural marvel considering the time period in which it was created. Clear? Okay. Before we talk about these, there is one more place which is a granary. What is a granary? Storage of grains. ग्रैनरी है स्टोरेज ऑफ ग्रेन्स. मैं गाड़ी के लिए गराज कब बनाऊंगी? मैं ग्रैनरी क्यों बनाऊंगी? Because so the presence of granary, students, indicates that we may have had more than required food. The second aspect that the historians point out is that these granaries may have been used to collect the grain that may have been taken as taxes. हो सकता है सिटाडेल के अंदर हमारे पास जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव हेड्स बैठे थे वो टैक्स के फॉर्म में थोड़ा बहुत ग्रेन का कलेक्शन कर रहे थे, which was then stored in the granary. So from this aspect we come to know that number one, there is more agricultural production than required, hence the storage. Second, students, we also know that there may have been some kind of taxation system which was the part of the economy of Harappan civilization. ये सब सिंगुलर लाइंस हैं जो स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन बन के भी आ सकती हैं और आई भी हैं. अभी मैं आपको दिखाऊंगी सारे प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस. या फिर ये आपके पास में क्या है, मेंस में कन्वर्ट होके आ जाएगी एज अ क्वेश्चन कि आप भाई मुझे एसेंशियल फीचर्स बताओ, इकोनॉमिक हिस्ट्री के बारे में बता दो, सोशल हिस्ट्री के बारे में बता दो. सो ओके Mohammed, can I request you to keep your questions for the end? I will give 15 minutes, 20 minutes specifically to you. Okay, relax. All right. Now, when I talk about the granary, the Great Bath, in that context, you will see both of them have a unique construction. They're huge. They're huge. Apart from that, they're very stable. Both of them are giving us great insights into the economic history and one is even giving us insight into the religious history. दोनों तरह से यूज होगा स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन और रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग में. अगर तुम्हारे पास में फीचर्स पे क्वेश्चन आ गए तो तुम इनके एग्जाम्पल लेके रिलीजियस हिस्ट्री, इकोनॉमिक हिस्ट्री, इन सब के बारे में बताओगे. इसी आर्किटेक्चर के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आप देखेंगे हमारे पास में कुछ और इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें भी हैं. इसको समझने के लिए जो हेडिंग आप देंगे फीचर्स के अंदर वो आप देंगे एग्रीकल्चर. वी हैड व्हेन वी स्पोक अबाउट टाउन प्लानिंग, यू रिमेंबर टू थिंग्स, अपर टाउन, लोअर टाउन. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट यू रिमेंबर व्हाट, यू विल रिमेंबर सर्टेन पॉइंट्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू योर ग्रेट ग्रैनरी एंड ग्रेट बाथ. ओके, एंड यू विल रिमेंबर द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ग्रिड पैटर्न. नेक्स्ट आप हेडिंग देंगे एग्रीकल्चर प्लस इरिगेशन. नेक्स्ट आप हेडिंग देंगे एग्रीकल्चर प्लस इरिगेशन. ओके, देयर आर मल्टीपल लाइंस इन एनसीईआरटी जिसमें ऐसे आएगा कि भाई वी यूज टू डोमेस्टिकेट और वी यूज टू प्रोड्यूस रागी, पीस, ज्वार, बाजरा एटसेट्रा. ये सब नहीं याद करना है. ऐसे क्वेश्चन आएंगे नहीं कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग क्रॉप्स और कौन सी हड़प्पन सभ्यता में उगाई जाती थी. दीज आर नॉट द काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट यू कैन एनकाउंटर. रादर स्टूडेंट्स, इन द फील्ड ऑफ, इन द डोमेन ऑफ इरिगेशन, ओके, the kind of in the domain of agriculture, the kind of questions that you may find will almost always be pertaining to irrigational facilities. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज दैट पानी कहाँ से लाएं खेती करने के लिए, ठीक है। इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमने एक तो धोलावीरा की बात करी, जहां पर हम लोगों ने वाटर टैंक्स, वाटर रिजर्वॉयर्स जो हैं वो बना रखे थे। इसके अलावा स्टूडेंट्स आप लोग देखेंगे दैट वी वर आल्सो यूजिंग सम काइंड ऑफ कैनाल इरिगेशन, वी वर आल्सो यूजिंग सम काइंड ऑफ कैनाल इरिगेशन। कैनाल इरिगेशन जो है बहुत रूडिमेंट्री स्टेज में थी, रूडिमेंट्री माने अर्ली स्टेज के अंदर थी। हम क्या करते थे, हमने कैनाल्स किस तरह से बना रखे हैं, ये आपको दिख रहा है, दिस इज अ वेल, ठीक है। और ये जो वेल है इसके अराउंड हम लोगों ने क्या करा है, ये कैनाल्स जो हैं ये खोद दिए हैं, और ये कहां तक रीडायरेक्ट हो रहे हैं, खेत तक। You will draw water, you will draw the groundwater, it will be channelized in these channels, okay, and it will reach the fields. So, some kind of canal irrigation is present in the Indus Valley civilization. Some examples are right in front of you. We have water reservoirs, and in your old NCERT, we are specifically given a term also. This is known as Gabar Band. GABAR, Gabar Band, BAND. Gabar Band, students, is nothing but again a water reservoir or kind of a nala in which water is stored. मैंने आपको बताया UPSC is fond of asking terms and meanings. In that context NCERT तो वैसे भी बाइबल है, अगर आपने स्किप कर दिया तो आपकी गलती है और किसी की नहीं, okay? So there's a term with respect to irrigation which is Gabarband. What is a Gabarband? If I may ask you, you will tell me, ma'am, it is a water tank, it is kind of a nala in which we store water. Okay. If I ask you, canal irrigation a part of it? Ma'am, not on a very higher stage, on a rudimentary stage, and we are using it especially to draw or redirect the groundwater towards the fields. If I ask you which area is very popular for water reservoirs, you will tell me, ma'am, it is Dholavira. ठीक है, क्विक रिकैप लिया जाएगा, अभी तक जितनी चीजें पढ़ी हैं उनका आप लोग बताएंगे। Okay. When I talk about town planning, what are the two categories in which the town is divided? Citadel and lower town. When I say lower town, what is the purpose? Residential. When I say citadel, not sure, but maybe an administrative center. ठीक है? When I ask you how are the streets laid, ma'am, they are laid on the grid pattern. Do they intersect on a specific angle? 90-degree angle. ठीक है? Can you give me two outstanding examples of town planning? We have Great Bath. We have Great Bath and the granary. Can you tell me the most outstanding construction material? Burnt and baked bricks. ठीक है? Is it something that was also used in the other contemporary civilizations? No, it was not. ठीक है? So, ये हो गए हमारे टाउन प्लानिंग के मेजर पॉइंट्स। इसके अलावा if I talk about the concept of irrigation, which area first of all stands out for conservation of water? It's Dholavira. That is why it was given the tag of UNESCO World Heritage Site. ठीक है? Apart from that, there is a specific type of water tank that we have whose name is mentioned in NCERT. We call it ठीक है? Do we have canal irrigation? Rudimentary stage. We do have canal irrigation. ठीक है? टाउन प्लानिंग का ही पार्ट है ड्रेनेज। Within town planning, we have spoken about upper town, lower town, etc. In that, we have also understood about the kind of structures that were created for irrigational purposes. And now we are also going to talk about the drainage pattern. Do you think the drainage, the concept of drainage is something that is still haunting our country? Yes? We know that when we talk about drainage, it specifically takes into consideration the drainage of the sewage water. In that context, when you talk about the drainage system of IBC, it was very elaborate. Herein, we had main drains which were passing through the main street, and then we had these small patla drains that were going from within the house, going from that patli lane and then getting mixed into the main drain. Not only that, not only this intricate system of drainage, you will see that all of these drains were covered. अब यहाँ पर आपको अभी तो ये छोटी सी बात लगेगी, हाँ ड्रेन तो कवर होनी ही चाहिए, ठीक है. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आज के टाइम में भी हमें पता है कितनी ड्रेन कवर होती है, कितनी नहीं होती, ठीक है. These drains were covered, and in that context the historians point out that the Harappans were very well aware of the diseases and of the problems that can be caused if such kind of polluted water is running in open. Hence, they were focusing upon health and sanitation. Can you give me one example wherein I can say that the Harappans were very fond of cleanliness and sanitation? Yes. What is it? Ma'am, the drainage pattern. How do you know? Ma'am, all the drains were covered. ठीक है, ये एक पार्ट लिख लेंगे. सबसे एसेंशियल पार्ट यही था टाउन प्लानिंग वाला, ठीक है. आगे बढ़ते हैं. मेरे देश में 1920s में सर जॉन मार्शल, डायरेक्टर ऑफ ASI विच इज आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया, एक जगह डिस्कवर करते हैं विच इज नोन एज द हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन. To understand that civilization, we studied all the material remains that we found as a part of the excavation. From that, we came to know that this area belongs to a time period in which the Egyptian and the Mesopotamian civilizations were flourishing, hence dating back the Indian culture to be one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Keeping that in mind, whatever products that we have procured as a part of these excavations have helped us in understanding that there was a very intricate, tremendous and beautiful town planning system with respect to Harappan civilization. What were the essential features is something that we have already highlighted. The second aspect that you will remember as a part of your preparation will be the profiling of multiple sites. Almost 10 to 12 sites will be given from my side, and I have shown you how to use that information which can be converted into a question. Alright. Proceeding further, we have many more features that are a part of Harappan civilization, and in that we have multiple crafts and the trade which was flourishing. First urbanization कहते हैं ना इसको. First urbanization के दो aspect हैं, emergence of cities and trading. In respect to emergence of cities, we have already understood town planning. Now we are trying to understand trade. तो ट्रेड सामान की तो हो रही होगी, तो पहले सामान देखते हैं, फिर देखते हैं कहां कहां पर ट्रेड हो रही थी. In that context, students, can you tell me about some cultures which are partly contemporary to Harappan civilization and then proceed further as well? Within India, Chalcolithic cultures. ठीक है. So we have Chalcolithic cultures that are partly contemporary and they are proceeding further in the time that is going to come forward. On the other hand, the Harappan civilization will decline. इस context में बहुत सारे ऐसे Chalcolithic cultures हैं जो कि हड़प्पन सभ्यता के साथ में इंटरैक्ट कर रहे थे। इंटरैक्ट कैसे कर रहे हैं? आई एम प्रोक्योरिंग कॉपर। सबसे ज्यादा टूल्स किसके बन रहे थे? कॉपर के। ब्रॉन्ज यूज कर रहे हैं क्या हम? नो, ब्रॉन्ज इज यूज्ड मैम, इट इज रेयरली यूज्ड। सेकेंड, it is low grade quality. So what kind of tools do we find, students? We find copper artifacts. Now these copper artifacts, in order to make copper artifacts you need copper. ठीक है? Now this copper, students, was actually procured from a very famous area in Rajasthan, still popular for copper, and these are Khetadi mines. Khetadi mines in Khetadi mines, you will see a chalcolithic culture is running, and those people were interacting with the Harappans. They were supplying them the raw material, which is copper. It was then converted into different copper objects and sold later on. Got it? Apart from copper, we are also using tin. Tin we were procuring from Afghanistan. There is a very popular semi-precious stone, lapis lazuli. This is also something that we are procuring from Afghanistan. Why do we use semi-precious stones? To make beads. एक beads बनाने की साइड बता दो, चांदार. ओके, ठीक है. गोल्ड, कर्नाटक fields, the famous from that movie KGF something. Yes, okay. So we have gold, we have copper, we have lapis lazuli, we have tin. Timber we were procuring from Jammu. Then apart from that, from Western India we are procuring seashells and ivory. Seashells and ivory. From Central India, we were also procuring some kind of semi-precious stones. In that context, students, it will be important to note that when we talk about semi-precious stones, apart from lapis lazuli, two major semi-precious stones which were utilized in making jewelry were agate and carnelian and chalcedony as well. Yes. We were also using jade. These are what? These are semi-precious stones that were used by us to create jewelry. Not necessary that we get this kind of question, but this is the kind of data that can be very easily converted into a question. Okay? एक और चीज थी सिल्वर. सिल्वर कहां से प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं? थर्ड वन, दिस इज लैपिस lazuli फ्रॉम अफगानिस्तान. बेटा अगाते के बाद कार्नीलियन लिखा है, इट्स कार्नीलियन. ओके, चैल्केडोनी. इतनी अच्छी तो है मेरी राइटिंग. ओके, सो we have silver. Silver is procured from Jowar mines. These are also in Rajasthan. Jowar mines in Rajasthan. कोई confusion है तो पूछें. Third one is Chalcedony. Chalcedony. Yes, beta.
Agriculture, irrigation.
Exactly, because when we talk about agriculture, okay, when we talk about agriculture, it will incorporate the grains that we have we were producing, and that is not something which is worthy of even remembering. But we have one aspect of plow. I remember that. We'll get back to it. Okay. All right. सिल्वर की बात कर रहे थे हम लोग. सिल्वर में एक एस्पेक्ट हुआ जॉर माइंस ऑफ राजस्थान. Apart from that, we were also procuring silver as a part of our long distance trade. This long distance trade, students, we are carrying it out with another civilization which are known as the Mesopotamians. Area बताएंगे मेसोपोटामिया का. Present day Iraq. Present day Iraq is Mesopotamia. Okay. Now, when we talk about the Mesopotamian region, these people were also flourishing. It was a huge civilization. We were procuring silver from Mesopotamia as well. Now, how do I know that? Silver के ऊपर लिखा तो है नहीं ना कि this silver is from Mesopotamia. Seals. Seals की अगर बात करें, seals पे तो पिक्टोग्राफिक स्क्रिप्ट है, वो तो डिसाइफर ही नहीं हुई, तो कैसे पता? करेक्ट. हमारी स्क्रिप्ट नहीं डिसाइफर हुई, मेसोपोटामिया की तो हो गई. यस. फ्रॉम दैट वी कम टू नो दैट वी वर ट्रेडिंग with the Mesopotamians, and as a part of this trade we were procuring silver from them in return. जो सामान हम उन्हें दे रहे थे उसके रिटर्न में हम उनसे क्या प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं? सिल्वर प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. तो यहां पर एक और चीज लिख लेंगे, मेसोपोटामिया. सिल्वर के आगे एक तो जॉर माइंस ऑफ राजस्थान एंड सेकेंड इज मेसोपोटामिया. Craft specialization में you will also have to remember that the Indus people were the earliest to produce cotton cloth. So cotton is produced. One craft is this, especially students in the Sindh region. It was especially produced in the Sindh region. Moreover, pottery. When I say pottery, it will incorporate all types of ceramics. Mane? What do I mean by that? When I say pottery, it incorporates all types of ceramics. सबने सर हिला दिया, मतलब pots, even other utensils. Indeed, it will also include your plate, chammach, etc. Okay. So, keeping that in mind, when I talk about the pottery in the Indus Valley civilization, students, this is first of all wheel-made pottery, which means that the invention of potter's wheel is done. Pottery की class दिखाते हैं ना ऐसे reels वगैरह पे तो देखी होगी. Yes, there's this wheel which is rotating, and then you put that clay and whatever shape you can make out of it. Yes, so it's a wheel-made pottery. And this kind of usage is already done here. In that, the second question that you may ask yourself is that what kind of pottery was the most popular one? The most popular style of pottery, students, that we find in the Harappan civilization is known as BRW. Full form है इसकी black on red ware, which means रेड कलर का पॉट, रेड कलर का बेस और उस पे ब्लैक कलर की डिजाइन. दैट्स व्हाई डोंट रिमेंबर इट एज ब्लैक एंड रेड वेयर, रिमेंबर इट एज ब्लैक ऑन रेड वेयर. आई विल शो यू द इमेज एज वेल. There's this reddish types, gerua types background. Okay, and then we have your plant type designs or geometrical designs which are put on the pot, and this is known as black on red ware. Clear? So these are two aspects. All right, with this we are going to proceed further and talk about the trade links. and talk about the trade links. ये तो मुझे समझ में आ गया कि बहुत सारा सामान बन रहा है, ठीक है. कॉपर आ रहा है, टिन आ रहा है मेरे पास में, पर्ल्स, आइवरी शेल्स, प्रेशियस स्टोन्स. अब ये जो सामान हम प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं, इससे जो फाइनल प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं, इसको हम बेच कहाँ रहे हैं. There is a lot of short distance trade going on and that's okay. ठीक है, that's a small area. The idea is that what you have to focus upon will be the long distance trade. When I say long distance trade, students, we already know that we are trading with Mesopotamians. How do we know that? Because the seals or the script of the Mesopotamians is already deciphered. उनकी decipher हो चुकी है. इस context में Mesopotamian inscriptions हमें बताती हैं that the Mesopotamians were trading with the people of a place known as Meluha. And this Meluha, students, is identified with Indus River. In fact, they told us that there were two intermediary stations in between. Naturally, कोई इंडिया से निकल के ऐसे ईरान वन गो में तो चले जाएगा नहीं, ठीक है. So we have intermediary stations wherein from one side you will keep the luggage or whatever the goods that you're trying to sell, and then the other person will take it forward. Okay, so we have two intermediary stations in between, which is Dilmun and the second one is Makkan. Dilmun, students, is identified with present day Bahrain and Makkan is identified with present day Makran coast. All right. Okay. So we have spoken about the different kind of craft specialization that was happening. Okay. Apart from that, we have also spoken about the places with which we were trading. इसके अलावा हमने एक हेडिंग दी थी अभी एग्रीकल्चर एंड इरिगेशन की. उसके अंदर एक एस्पेक्ट रह गया था विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एग्रीकल्चर, एंड दिस इज पर्टेनिंग टू द टेक्नोलॉजी दैट वी आर यूजिंग. आर वी यूजिंग आयरन प्लाउ? नो. Why? Because iron age तो अभी तक आई ही नहीं है. In that context, the first question is that were we using plow in the first place? And the answer is yes. We are indeed using a plow. How do we know that? We have two particular evidences that we have found. One is from Banavali, and the second one is from Kalibangan. When we students talk about Banavali, here we have this small prototype which is made out of terracotta. ठीक है, which is made out of terracotta, and this is a prototype of a plow. So we have a terracotta plow figurine, that has been excavated from Banavali, which suggests that we know about the concept of plow. Apart from that, in Kalibangan, we have found furrows. Which tell us, which is actually an evidence of a plowed field. We have found furrows which help us in understanding that plowing may have been done in the agricultural fields of Kalibangan. But since we do not find any remains of the plough apart from these two, historians had estimated that we are using a plough, but it was made of wood and hence it did not survive. ठीक है? So this is the idea with respect to plough. Two aspects in agriculture. One, the plough aspect, and second would be irrigation. In irrigation, you will remember the points of Gabarband and canal irrigation. And Dhulavira, of course. Okay?
Burning purpose to plow field area.
आप इसकी इमेज गूगल करिएगा तो आपको आइडिया लगेगा इससे. ठीक है? All right. We have understood about the town planning. We have understood about drainage within town planning. We have understood about agriculture and irrigation. We have understood about crafts and the trade routes. With this, we are going to proceed further and talk about political organization plus religious practices under the Harappans. Yes, beta. सब जगह हर सिटी में ड्रेनेज है. पर्टिकुलर साइट से ड्रेनेज इज अ नेसेसरी पार्ट ऑफ एनी सिटी. ओके, let's talk about political organization and religious landscape of Harappan civilization. When I talk about political organization, number one, we are not sure. We are not at all sure of the kind of political organization that may have been a part of the Harappan civilization. We are not sure whether it was a monarchy. In fact, the concept of monarchy is absolutely negated by the historians. Instead, they feel that there may have been a group of elders who had formed a group for administrative purposes, and if there is more than one person who are forming a group to kind of rule a specific area or to be a part of its governance, then such kind of setup, students, is known as oligarchy. Oligarchy, in which we have selected elder members of the society who are taking into consideration the administration and governance. However, it's a speculation. It's a speculation. ठीक है? We have no solid evidence of either monarchy or oligarchy. Monarchy is moreover negated. Okay? It's moreover negated. More historians tend to feel that it was a oligarchical setup. Second, students, you will see that there is a presence. Okay? There is presence of some kind of ritual related structures, especially in the citadel area. इसमें अभी जो मैंने आपको सेक्शनल व्यू दिखाया था मोहनजोदारो का, उसको याद करेंगे, which is the Great Bath. It is in the citadel area. Okay, in that context, it is suggested that these people may have been some kind of religious authority as well. But historians suggest that religious element, although present in the Harappan civilization, was not something which was empowering the day-to-day life of the people. For instance, if we proceed further in time and talk about the Vedic culture, will the Vedic texts dominate the way in which we are going to live our life? Yes, a lot. Okay, in that, if you proceed further in time, especially in the later Vedic period, you will see that there is a Varna-based division as well, and you are expected to behave in a certain manner based on your Varna. In Harappan civilization, it is suggested that although indeed there are multiple evidences which suggest that there is a religious aspect to the society, but we have not found any strong, solid foundation evidence that may say that religion dominated the political landscape as well. In that context, the crux is something wherein you can say that the Harappan civilization was a secular civilization, although religious elements although religious elements are a part of it. ठीक है, इस लाइन पे अभी तक में जो मैंने आपको पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बारे में बताया है और जो इसका क्रक्स निकाला है, ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स एंड यू गाइस, कोई भी कंफ्यूजन इस बात को लेके कि क्यों मैंने बोला रिलीजियस एलिमेंट्स प्रेजेंट है और फिर एंड में कह दिया सेकुलर है? एविडेंस है ना, क्यों नहीं? अभी करेंगे ना सब्सटेंशिएट। बताया तो स्टार्टिंग में वी हैव पशुपति सील, वी हैव ग्रेट बाथ, आई हैव ऑलरेडी स्पोकन अबाउट द ग्रेट बाथ, but the idea is that despite all of these excavations, exactly, despite all of these excavations, I am saying that's primarily a secular civilization. Number one, because our life is not dominated by these religious practices on a day-to-day basis. Moreover, we have found no temples in the Harappan civilization. No temple-like structures. But when you yourself will read Harappan civilization, you will find a term which is known as fire altar. माने अग्निकुंड, अग्निकुंड, ठीक है? These fire altars may have been used for ritualistic purposes, but we do not have any designated, dedicated spaces where you may find any sculptures being placed or any kind of rituals going on with respect to your religious practices. So that is why this point becomes really, really important, wherein we have not found any temples. We have found a lot of religious sculptures and elements, but no temples were found in the Harappan civilization. In fact, students, I would like to also tell you one more thing. We have also not found any palaces. No temples, no palaces. No temples, no palaces. Since we have found no palaces, palace is different. हम citadel की जब बात करते हैं, citadel is a structure on an elevated platform. A palace is different altogether. In that context, when I talk about no presence of temple, hence I say it is primarily secular. When I say no dedicated palaces have been found in the Indus Valley civilization, what does it indicate? We are not sure of the political organization. And we are definitely sure कि भाई मोनार्की तो एक सिंगल किंग वाली मोनार्की तो नहीं थी हमारे पास में. हो सकता है हमारे पास एक ओलिगार्किकल सेटअप हो जिसमें एक से ज्यादा लोग जो हैं डे टू डे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को देख रहे थे. समझ में आया? Now at the end of the day, I give you two statements. The Harappan civilization worked under the domain of absolute monarchy. The lifestyle of the people was based upon religious expectations. False. ठीक है? In that, again, when you will write a answer, जब black and white factual question आएंगे तो आप statement से समझ ही जाएंगे, ठीक है? लेकिन जब आप एक factual answer लिखेंगे तो हमेशा इस possibility को use करेंगे that there is lack of evidences, hence till now this is something that we have understood about it. समझ में आया? ठीक है? So we have done political organization. In religion, we are going to study more things now. हम लोग okay. We are going to talk about some seals and sculptures. These seals and sculptures are ultimately important to understand about what? To understand about the religious developments in Harappan civilization. Seal क्या होती है? Barring the animal. ये the seal. This is a seal. So फोटो में देख के लग रहा हो बहुत बड़े साइज की है, ठीक है. व्हाट इज द साइज ऑफ अ सील? इट्स दिस साइज. Okay, this is the size of a seal. As you can see from the images, students, something is engraved on these seals. Something is also written on these seals, but we are unable to decipher it. Why? Because IVC script is not yet deciphered. Okay, the seals come in multiple shapes and sizes, and these were used for stamping purposes in trading. These were used for stamping purposes in trading. Sometimes what we used to do, we used to run a hole through the seal and run down a thread or something like that and wear it as a necklace or a amulet. आज के टाइम में भी amulets पहने जाते हैं क्या? Are amulets used for specific purposes? Evil eye से बचने के लिए होता है ना, इसीलिए तावीज पहना हमने, ठीक है. सो वी यूज एम्यूलेट्स स्पेशली टू वॉर्ड ऑफ द इविल आई. कैन आई टेक इट एज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ द रिलीजियस बिलीव्स ऑफ द पीपल? यस. सो टिल नाउ व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट रिलीजियस बिलीव्स, आई हैव टोल्ड यू मल्टीपल थिंग्स. ग्रेट बात. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, आई हैव टोल्ड यू नो टेम्पल्स बट प्रेजेंस ऑफ फायर ऑल्टर्स, बट नॉट इन अ डेडिकेटेड स्पेस. Apart from that, I have spoken about seals. Okay, and in that context, I have told you that the seals can be worn as amulets. And this again gives us an insight into the psyche of the Harappan people, wherein these people used to believe in evil spirits. समझ में आया? ठीक है. वैसे इनका मेन काम क्या था? स्टैंपिंग पर्पस के लिए ट्रेड में यूज हो रही है. उसके अलावा ये इनका सेकंड काम था. ये जो सील्स हैं, इनके ऊपर अलग अलग टाइप की एनग्रेविंग्स हैं, और इन एनग्रेविंग्स को जब हमने स्टडी किया तो हमें कुछ भगवानों के बारे में पता चला जिनमें हरप्पन्स बिलीव किया करते थे. लेट्स टॉक अबाउट देम वन बाय वन. We are talking about seals, and within seals, we are trying to understand how they can be used for understanding the religion or the religious beliefs of IVC people. In that context, the most popular example is in front of you, and this is Pashupati seal. If you look at Pashupati seal, again, this is the size. All right, this is the size of the seal. When we talk about Pashupati seal, students, you can see there is a man who's sitting on a throne. Okay, he is sitting in a yogic posture. Yogic posture, आलती पालती मार के बैठे, ठीक है. So he is sitting in a yogic posture and he is surrounded by animals. The more I zoomed in, the quality got a little bad. So these are different animals which are surrounding him. In that context, this person is identified as Pashupati, the lord of animals. He is identified as Pashupati, the lord of animals. Later on, students, this particular cult will be incorporated in the stories of which god? Shiva. We have a Hindu trinity of three gods: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Who is Mahesh? Shiva. And in that context, if you read the mythology of Shiva, there are multiple tribal local cultures which had believed in different forms of God, and they were later on incorporated in the stories of Shiva. In that, one popular manner in which he is studied is the god of animals, and that is known as Pashupati. Where do we find the earliest evidence? We find it in the Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है जी, ये हुई आपकी पशुपति सील. Apart from that, can I say that these people worshipped male deities? Yes, this is one point that you will write. That the Harappans believed in worshipping male deities. दो और सील है अपने पास में, एक का नाम है यूनिकॉर्न सील और एक का नाम है पीपल सील. व्हेन आई से यूनिकॉर्न सील, इज देयर एन एनिमल लाइक अ यूनिकॉर्न? The seals are made, okay, material of construction multiple, okay, generally these seals are made out of statite and paions. ऐसे सवाल आपसे कोई नहीं पूछेगा दो, ठीक है. So when I talk about unicorn, is this actually an animal? Not actually an animal, okay. Of course, it's very popular as a part of your fairy tales, etc. So basically, we have a small seal in which we see an animal who has a horn, okay, and it's popularly known as unicorn seal, but of course, the scholars have identified it with a rhino, okay. In any case, it is suggested by the historians that apart from male deities, we believed in mythical animals, and hence animal worship was also an important part of our religious landscape. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मैं आपसे एंड में क्वेश्चन भी पूछ सकती हूँ. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट. द हरप्पन्स वर्शिप्ड ओनली फीमेल डेटीज. फॉल्स. The Harappans did not believe in animal worship. How will you substantiate? Unicorn seal. ठीक है. Next point. People seal. Do we have any significance of people even in the contemporary times? People is a holy tree. Keeping that in mind, students, जब आपने ये एग्जाम्पल्स अभी पढ़े हैं, इनकी अगर आप लोग बात करेंगे, ठीक है, इनकी अगर आप बात करेंगे तो हमेशा इस कनेक्ट को याद रखना कि कई ऐसे ट्रेडिशंस हैं जो अपने देश में हड़प्पन सभ्यता में शुरू हुए थे और आज भी हमारे कल्चर का पार्ट हैं, जैसे कि शिव की वर्शिप, पीपल की वर्शिप और एनिमल वर्शिप भी, ठीक है. हमारे को यूनिकॉर्न के अलावा एक बुल सील भी मिली है. क्या हम बुल की पूजा करते हैं? विच गॉड इज आइडेंटिफाइड एज बुल? शिव. नंदी. It's Nandi. Okay. So from that we know that there are multiple practices of Harappan civilization still a part of contemporary times. For that matter, even if we talk about town planning, if we talk about the genesis of town planning, is it still a part of our manner in which we are creating the cities? Why am I pointing out this? Is because we had got a question इन GS1 और उसमें पूछा गया कि ऐसी कौन सी प्रैक्टिसेस हैं हड़प्पन सभ्यता की जो आज तक यूज हो रही हैं. मजे की बात ये है दैट आई असाइन्ड द क्वेश्चन टू अ बैच व्हिच आई वाज टीचिंग एट दैट टाइम एंड दे हैड रिटन आंसर्स लाइक कि हड़प्पन्स वोर क्लोथ्स एंड वी आल्सो वेयर क्लोथ्स. वाओ. हड़प्पन्स टुक ऑक्सीजन, वी आल्सो टेक ऑक्सीजन. सो यू विल हैव टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक. ऑलराइट. You have to be very specific, and in that context, there are certain points that I've already highlighted in front of you. For instance, town planning. Focus on sanitation. All this is a problem, not a continuation in contemporary times, but we are still trying our level best. Yes, canal irrigation, water reservoirs. Are they still a part? Especially in rural areas? Yes. So, these are some practices that are continuing till now. Religious landscape में शिव का पैंथियन जो है उसके अंदर नंदी और शिव जो है इनको आइडेंटिफाई किया जा सकता है फ्रॉम द बुल सील एंड द पशुपति सील. When I talk about worship of trees, it is still very prominent in contemporary times, and the worship of peepal tree for that matter is still very contemporary. तो अभी तक मैं आपको कई ऐसी प्रैक्टिसेस बता चुकी हूं जो हम देख रहे हैं कंटेम्पररी टाइम्स तक फॉलो हो रही. समझ में आया? ठीक है. और ये तो हो गई स्टूडेंट सील्स की बात. ये हो गई हमारे पास में सील्स की बात. अब बात करते हैं स्कल्पचर्स की. लेट्स नाउ टॉक अबाउट स्कल्पचर्स. आप चाहें तो हरप्पन आर्ट का हेडिंग भी दे सकते हैं. हरप्पन स्कल्पचर्स का, सॉरी, हरप्पन स्कल्पचर्स का हेडिंग दे सकते हैं. Okay. When we talk about Harappan sculptures, they were created out of different kind of materials. In that context, some popular material of constructions include stone, terracotta, and metal, especially copper and bronze. ये क्या देख रहे हैं हम? मटीरियल ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू स्कल्पचर. व्हाट इज अ स्कल्पचर? हिंदी में बोल दो. मूर्ति. ठीक है. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट स्कल्पचर, इजी भाषा में अगर बोलें, दिस इज अ स्कल्पचर. ठीक है. और सिंपली इट्स अ मूर्ति. ऑल राइट. कीपिंग दैट इन माइंड स्टूडेंट्स, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन, we have three major examples of sculptures. One is made in stone, one is made in terracotta, and one is made in bronze. सबसे पहला जो एग्जाम्पल हम यहां पर ले रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स, वो किसका है? वो स्टोन कंस्ट्रक्शन का है. और ये जो तुम्हारे सामने एग्जाम्पल है, दिस इज अ बियर्डेड प्रीस्ट और अ बियर्डेड किंग. दोनों नाम लिखे हुए हैं. वही एस्टिमेशंस चल रही हैं, शॉर्ट डेटा नहीं है हमारे पास. समझ में आया? अब लेट्स स्टार्ट एनालाइजिंग दिस स्कल्पचर. व्हाट इज द मोस्ट स्ट्राइकिंग थिंग दैट यू कैन सी इन दिस स्कल्पचर? टेल मी क्विकली. हिज क्लॉथ, द shawl that he is wearing, basically. Considering the time period, the shawl that he is wearing, we will buy it today also, because the carving is very intricate. Okay, keeping that in mind, indeed this is one point that we have to focus upon a lot, and this is the intricately or the intricate embroidery of the shawl. अभी एक बात बताएं, when I talk about embroidery, when I talk about such a beautiful shawl, do you think there is somebody who's poor? Can they afford it? Hence the title priest or king. Somebody of an elevated social and economic status may have been the person who would have been able to afford such kind of shawl. Got it? Why do we call him a priest specifically? Is because of his eyes. His eyes are half closed in a manner that it seems that he is meditating. And in that context, we call him a priest. Moreover, students, it will be very important to again focus upon this hand. What is he wearing? He's wearing an amulet. Again, re-emphasizing on the fact that there were multiple religious beliefs with respect to evil spirits in Harappan civilization. So, again, this is a very good example to understand about the society and the religious beliefs of the people. In that context, I am calling him a bearded king because of the shawl. He may have been a priest because of the elongated eyes. Apart from that, I see that this guy is wearing an amulet, which again gives me insights that the Harappans believed in the concept of evil spirits. यहाँ पर आपके पास में सवाल जो हैं वो एक तो इसकी लोकेशन पे आ सकते हैं. टैबुलर डेटा में मैंने सब दे रखा है आपको. ठीक है, जो स्टार्टिंग में 3-4 स्लाइड्स दिखाई थी, बियर्डेड प्रीस्ट कहाँ मिला है, पशुपति सील कहाँ मिली है, यूनिकॉर्न सील कहाँ मिली है, ये सब उस टैबुलर डेटा में है आपके पास में. सो वन एस्पेक्ट ऑफ गेटिंग क्वेश्चंस इज वेयर डिड यू फाइंड देम, एंड सब्जेक्टिव आंसर के अंदर जो पॉइंट्स मैंने आपको बताए वो वहां यूज होंगे कि कैसे हमें रिलीजियस और पॉलिटिकल बिलीफ्स के बारे में पता चलता है इफ वी स्टडी दिस पर्टिकुलर स्कल्पचर. इट इज मेड आउट ऑफ स्टोन.
When we have so many evidences of religious characteristics.
Yes. Because it's not dominating our day-to-day life. Even if it is present, it's not a rule foundation that this is how you have to live your life. We have not found any scriptures that say that will be dominating your life. Even today, there are so many religious examples. Am I a product of a religiously dominated society? No, I live in a secular country. Yes? बहुत पॉपुलर है, नेशनल म्यूजियम में रखी है. Dancing girl. It looks so huge, right? But it's very small. Okay. So this is your bronze dancing girl. ये सब जो मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ ये सब नेशनल म्यूजियम है. कभी टाइम हुआ फ्री हुए तो कोई अच्छी जगह जाना, हमेशा मूवी देखने नहीं जाते. ठीक है. Go to a different kind of place and you can visit National Museum. It's something that will make you more interested in your own culture. Okay. So this is bronze dancing girl. When we talk about the bronze dancing girl, as you can see, the conceivement of this particular statue is relatively better. इसलिए मैं ये बात कह रही हूँ कि अभी इसके बाद जो मैं आपको नेक्स्ट स्कल्पचर दिखाऊंगी ना, उसको और इसको आप कंपेयर करोगे तो आप बोलोगे ये बहुत तरीके से बना हुआ है. इट इज क्रिएटेड फ्रॉम अ प्रोसेस, फ्रॉम अ टेक्निक विच इज नोन एज लॉस्ट वैक्स टेक्निक. शॉर्ट में बता देती हूँ लॉस्ट वैक्स टेक्निक क्या होती है. लॉस्ट वैक्स टेक्निक में हम क्या करते हैं, सबसे पहले हम लोग एक क्ले का मोल्ड बनाते हैं. सबसे पहले मैंने एक वैक्स की स्टैचू बनाई. माय फर्स्ट स्टेप इज टू क्रिएट अ वैक्स स्टैचू. वंस दैट वैक्स स्टैचू इज ठंडी हो गई, सोलिडिफाई हो गई, तो मैं उसके ऊपर एक क्ले का पेस्ट लगा दूंगी. सो व्हाट इज माय सेकंड स्टेप? टू पुट क्ले ऑन दैट. नाउ द क्ले, वंस द क्ले इज solidified, I will make sure to put some holes. Okay, I will make sure to put some holes in this clay coating, and once the clay is solidified, मैं जो अंदर की वैक्स है ना इसको पिघला के उन होल्स के थ्रू निकलवा दूं. तो अब मेरे पास क्या हो गया, एक हॉलो क्ले मोल्ड रह गया. उस हॉलो क्ले मोल्ड के अंदर देन आई एम गोइंग टू पोर मोल्टन मेटल, and once this molten metal will solidify, I will break the clay mold and I will get my murti. I will get my sculpture. Got it? First wax का बैग स्टैचू बनाया, solidify हो गया, clay की coating कर दी, clay solidify हो गया, wax निकाल दी. अब उस खाली hollow mold के अंदर molten metal डाल दिया. Once it solidifies, ऊपर से अपन ने clay की coating जो है उसको भी तोड़ दिया. ठीक है, ऐसे क्वेश्चन कहीं नहीं आते हैं, जस्ट फॉर योर इंटरेस्ट. सो वी हैव द लॉस्ट वैक्स टेक्निक विच इज यूज्ड टू क्रिएट द ब्रॉन्ज डांसिंग गर्ल. Moreover, it will be very important to note the delineation, the manner in which she is standing, students. As you can see, she is not standing straight. She is standing in a very popular posture which is used in classical dances. What is that? Tribhanga posture. It's a feminine style of posture. As you can see, her one leg is slightly bent and one hand is on the waist. The manner in which she is standing makes it seem that she has a very slender body. Okay, and what kind of a posture it is? It is a posture that denotes femininity. There are masculine and feminine expressions when you are performing any kind of drama or dance. In that context, one of the most popular feminine postures is the Tribhanga posture. ठीक है, तो यहां पर आपके पास में अभी तो नहीं, बहुत पहले 2010-11 के आसपास में क्वेश्चन आया था कि विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू इंडियन कल्चर व्हाट इज त्रिभंग पोस्चर, और लिटरली उन्होंने ऐसे पूछ लिया कि वन लेग इज बेंट एंड वन हैंड इज ऑन द वेस्ट. दैट वाज द क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम लोगों ने इस पोस्चर को थोड़ा सा ध्यान रख लेना है, इसको देखे बिना नहीं समझा जा सकता. ऑल राइट, सो दीज आर द मेजर हरप्पन स्कल्पचर्स फॉर यू स्टूडेंट्स. Okay, we have one more, mother goddess. One more example. टेराकोटा का बना है, नाम है मदर गॉड. ठीक है. नाउ टेराकोटा में देखो जो भी बना हुआ है ना वो थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लमैटिक है. द रीजन बीइंग when we talk about terracotta, the delineation of anything which is created in terracotta is bit crude. जब भी आप आर्ट एंड कल्चर पढ़ेंगे और स्कल्पचर्स की खास करके बात करेंगे तो ये टर्म आप स्कल्पचर को समझाने के लिए काफी बार यूज कर सकते हैं, विच इज क्रूड. ऐसे नहीं बोलेंगे कि इसके फेशियल एक्सप्रेशंस या जो फेशियल फीचर्स है बहुत गंदे बने हुए हैं, ऐसे थोड़ी बोल सकते हैं. यू हैव टू टेल देम दैट in comparison to any other sculpture the facial features are crude. ठीक है, अभी इसी को आप ग्रीक स्कल्पचर से कंपेयर करेंगे तो डिफरेंस है ना, दे आर मोर रियल. ओके, सो एनीवे व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट टेराकोटा द डिलिनिएशन ऑलमोस्ट ऑलवेज ऑफ द स्कल्पचर्स इज कंपैरेटिवली क्रूड. ठीक है, in that context students you will see that one of the most popular sculpture that we have found from IVC is a mother goddess. मदर गॉडेस की स्टूडेंट्स अगर बात करी जाए तो सबसे पहले तो मुझे ये पता चल गया दैट वी आर वर्शिपिंग फीमेल डेटीज. अल्टीमेटली आप देखेंगे जब आप पूरे चैप्टर्स पढ़ लेंगे और यूपीएससी का क्वेश्चन पढ़ने बैठेंगे ना तब आपको धीरे धीरे समझ में आने लगेगा कि यार मैं पता नहीं क्यों घबरा रहा हूं. द कोर्स इज वास्ट बट द क्वेश्चंस आर नॉट वेरी इन डेप्थ. They are more on a superficial level, much easier than state services. ठीक है, so here students you will see that when we talk about the deities, we have male deities, we have female deities, we have animal worship and we have plant worship. All of this is going on. Female worship, female deities, we have mother goddess. Here she identifies as a symbol of fertility. This fertility can be reflected in two types. That fertility obviously encapsulates human reproduction, and the fertility is also something which is a symbol of more agricultural production and harvest. Got it? Do you think this fertility cult is even a part of contemporary Hindu culture? Yes. If you talk about the Devi cult, she is a symbol of fertility. Why do we worship the fertility cult? Right now I just told you two branches. Why do we worship the fertility cult? Don't you think both the things are very desirable even in the contemporary times? मांगी जाती है ना दुआएं जाके इन चीजों के लिए. So keeping that in mind students, when we talk about the fertility cult, it has two aspects to it. One is of course human reproduction and the second one is a bumper harvest or better conditions so that our crop is saved. Here students, this kind of worship is traced as early as in the Harappan civilization and is still a part of contemporary times. तो दो बात बता दी मैंने आपको इस स्लाइड के अंदर. एक तो हम फीमेल डेटीज यूज की पूजा कर रहे हैं and second again there is a tradition here which is followed even till the contemporary times. ठीक है, इनके फीचर्स डिफाइन करने का देखो कोई मतलब नहीं है. ऑल राइट, ऐसे क्वेश्चन आते नहीं है. यू कैन सी दैट शी इज वेयरिंग इलेबोरेट नेकलेस and apart from that she is wearing a headdress. Idea is that we were fond of wearing a lot of jewelry, both the men and women, and of course अगर humans को इतना शौक है तो अपने जो भगवान बना रहे हैं उनके ऊपर तो हम लोग और ज्यादा डिटेल के अंदर इस तरह के नेकलेसेस बनाते थे। ठीक है, और भी कुछ स्कल्पचर्स है हमारे पास, जैसे एक मेल टॉर्सो है, बट नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, नथिंग एज सच कि उसके अंदर से आपको क्वेश्चन बन के आ सकता है। ऑल राइट, सो दीज आर द 3 मेजर स्कल्पचर्स दैट वी हैव, वन इज इन स्टोन, वन इज इन मेटल एंड वन इज इन टेराकोटा। Okay, before we proceed further, there is one note पे चलते हैं। कहाँ गया हमारा माइंड मैप? Okay, so this is done, this is done, this is done, this is left, and इसके अलावा एग्रीकल्चर भी हो चुका है। 1 point is left। एक पार्ट रह गया, एंड देन वी हैव टू जस्ट टॉक अबाउट द एंड ऑफ द सिविलाइजेशन। When I talk about the Harappan culture, there were multiple animal students which were domesticated by them. Yes? अभी अपने अपने दिमाग लगा के सोचेंगे कि क्या कभी ऐसा क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग एनिमल्स, और उसमें घोड़ा गधा ऐसे कोई भी नाम वाम दे दिया आपको, एंड बोला गया कि भाई क्या डोमेस्टिकेट होता था या क्या हम यूज करते थे। सो लीव दैट इंफॉर्मेशन, इट मे बी यूज टू राइट अ सब्जेक्टिव आंसर, बट ऑब्जेक्टिव में इतना फालतू क्वेश्चन तो नहीं आ सकता। ठीक है, सो व्हाई वेस्ट इवन अ सेकेंड? However, students, you will see that there is one aspect of Harappan civilization with respect to animal domestication which has a debate on it, and that is pertaining to domestication of an animal, that is horse. ये रहेगा हमारा फोकस। इसकी अगर बात करी जाए तो हमारे पास में सुरकोटड़ा नाम की एक जगह है। ठीक है, we have a place known as Surkotda. When we talk about Surkotda, we have found certain bones, but we are not clearly sure whether they are bones of a horse or not. So, what do we have? A superficial evidence which does not prove anything. Moreover, we have found certain terracotta figurines. That's why I waited till here, because I wanted to show you Mother Goddess first. Okay. When we talk about terracotta, how is the delineation? Is it very clear? Is it very natural? No, it's very crude. Because of that, you will find that we have found that there are many terracotta sculptures. Okay, there are many terracotta sculptures with respect to different animals that we have found in the Indus Valley civilization. Now, out of that, we have found some terracotta sculptures, but ये identify नहीं किया जा सकता कि भाई ये वाकई में घोड़ा है या नहीं, and it is because of the crudeness of that particular sculpture. और ये जो terracotta figurines हैं, कोई बड़े बड़े साइज के थोड़ी होते थे, इतने छोटे छोटे से फिगरीन्स होते थे। ठीक है, सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इवन वी हैव फाउंड अ टेराकोटा फिगरीन, येट वी आर नॉट रियली श्योर वेदर इट इज इंडीड एक्चुअली अ हॉर्स। गॉट इट? सो two things we have found some bones, but we are not sure. Then we have found a terracotta figurine, but we are not sure. Historically, the answer would be not sure. But what happened? Few years back, we got a question of the same line on UPSC, in UPSC. And जो UPSC ने आंसर दिया, हम उसको अब अपने लिए फाइनल आंसर मानकर चले। यहां पर स्टूडेंट्स हम लोग देखते हैं that they had given a statement that the domestication of horse was not done by the Harappans, and this is a statement that they have considered as correct. Hence, we are going to take it as a factual point एंड हाउ आर वी टेकिंग इट एज अ फैक्चुअल पॉइंट, क्योंकि हमने इसको सिविल सर्विसेज के क्वेश्चन में से निकाल के अपना आंसर बना लिया. ठीक है. सो ऑल्दो आई नो दैट देयर आर सुपरफिशियल एविडेंसेस एंड देयर इज द आंसर इज इनकंक्लूसिव, but because of that question I have specifically trained myself that I will tell to myself that the domestication of horse was not known to the Harappans. तो ये लाइन सीधी सीधी लिख लो. ठीक है. All right. Done. With this, we come towards the last aspect of Indus Valley civilization, and that is the end of IAS. मैंने इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की बात करनी कहां से शुरू करी? मुझे ये पता है कि मेरे देश में स्टोन एज इज सक्सीडेड बाय अनदर एज विच इज नोन एज ब्रॉन्ज एज. ब्रॉन्ज एज में मैं ब्रॉन्ज और कॉपर दोनों यूज कर रही हूं. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हमारे देश में पहली अर्बनाइजेशन, द फर्स्ट अर्बनाइजेशन अपीयर्स इन अवर कंट्री इन द ब्रॉन्ज एज इन द नेम ऑफ इंडस वैली civilization. Indus Valley civilization, students, if we talk about it, it is encompassing almost 3 countries of contemporary times, which is Afghanistan, Pakistan and India. In that, there are plethora of sites, out of which the most significant sites are now a part of Pakistan. How will you understand or incorporate the information with respect to sites? You are going to make profiles of most important sites. At least 10 to 12 sites will be provided to you by me. If you encounter more sites, the idea is that their present day location and key excavations that have been found from there. Proceeding further, I told you that we don't have any literary sources with respect to Harappan civilization since the script was not yet deciphered. However, we have a lot of archaeological sources that can be used to understand and interpret the social, economic and political history of Harappan period. In that context, students, when I talk about the essential features of Harappan civilization, I am going to shed important light on town planning and the drainage system. Moreover, there is an outstanding aspect of irrigational facilities which were a part of Harappan civilization, especially seen in your Western India. In that context, I will remember the concept of Gabarband. I will remember the concept of canal irrigation and the most outstanding example of Dhulavira. Apart from that, students, I proceeded further and spoke about the different animals that were domesticated. In that context, you need not remember the names of all the animals. Rather, you have to remember that animal which is debated, and that is horse. Now, when we talk about the horse, we have superficial evidences of its presence, and that is why we cannot give a ठोस conclusive answer. But I have told you why are we writing a black and white statement? Because of a question that had already appeared, and hence we say that the Harappans did not domesticate the horse. Okay. Apart from that, I proceeded further to understand about the political and religious setup of Harappan civilization, and to understand that I studied multiple seals and sculptures. I came to know that definitely it was not a monarchical setup. It may have been a type of oligarchy. Moreover, there are no palaces or temples that were a part of the architecture. Although there is a religious element, yet it is primarily a secular civilization, because the day-to-day activities, we do not have any evidence, were dominated by any sort of religion. Apart from that, students, I had seen that there were multiple deities which were worshipped by the Harappans, which includes your male, female deities, animals and plants. Also, in between, I told you that there were various traditions that are a part of Harappan civilization and are continued even in the contemporary times. What are these? कुछ भी बताओ. एग्रीकल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस, ऐसे लिखोगे मैम वो खाना खाते थे हम भी खाते हैं, तो फिर प्रेजेंस ऑफ वाटर रिजर्वॉयर्स, कैनाल इरिगेशंस, और क्या बेटा सैनिटेशन का फोकस, हाँ ठीक है, ड्रेनेज प्लस सैनिटेशन, ओके, और worship of gods, more specific, worship of gods is something, yes, tell me about the tradition which is present till now. Again ये नहीं कि वो भी ऑक्सीजन हम भी ऑक्सीजन, ऐसे नहीं, एक तो शिव कल्ट, उसके अलावा पीपल ट्री, उसके अलावा एम्यूलेट वाला पॉइंट हो गया, और अरे अभी टेराकोटा फिगरिन दिखाया था बड़ा, मदर गॉडेस, फर्टिलिटी कल्ट, सॉरी you can say wheel made pottery is still an important part, ठीक है, but not the term that we used pots at that time and now we are using it now. That's something which is given, okay, all right. Nature worship and evil spirits believe, indeed we have amulets that we have pointed out here, and yes, bull worship, Nandi, people tree, Shiva cult, burnt bricks, construction material, ठीक है, मतलब you can say that we had started innovating in the context of construction, all right. These are more specific, widely open examples, especially the religious examples, ठीक है. It's a changing phenomena, not necessary. नहीं, बस अब आप लोग टाइम पास कर रहे हो, इतना भी नहीं होता, ठीक है. These are the points, these are the key points with respect to some traditions that are continuing in the contemporary times. All right, इसके ऊपर अपने को सवाल भी आया है. इसी के साथ बस अपना जो लास्ट पार्ट बच गया है इसको जरा पढ़ते हैं, which is end of IBC. Do you think that the end of IBC is something which happened due to a single event? नहीं, करेक्ट, बिल्कुल करेक्ट, इट इज नॉट मोनोकॉजल, ठीक है. सबसे पहली बात, द एंड इज नॉट मोनोकॉजल. देन व्हाट डू यू थिंक कैन बी द रीजंस फॉर द डिक्लाइन ऑफ इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन? क्या क्या लगता है तुम्हारे को? फ्लड, फिर डिक्लाइन इन रेनफॉल, soil fertility, okay, war, climatic conditions, change in climatic conditions, it varies, natural disaster, okay, some people even point out the accompanying diseases. climatic conditions की बात करें, it varies, okay. Climatic conditions की बात करें, it varies altogether because some places were flooded and in some places we have a decrease in the rainfall. In some places you will find, especially in the Indus plains, there is also evidences of earthquakes because of which there was flooding. In fact, the flooding is something that can also be evidenced from the fact कि जो अपने पास Indus plains के अंदर cities हैं, उनके citadels और कभी कभी पूरी सिटी को फोर्टिफाई किया जाता था. दिस फोर्टिफिकेशन इज नॉट ड्यू टू द थ्रेट ऑफ एनी एक्सटर्नल एनिमी स्टूडेंट्स, इट इज ड्यू टू द थ्रेट ऑफ इंडस वाटर कमिंग इन द सिटीज. हमारा एक और पड़ोसी काउंटर पार्ट था, रेगुलर फ्लड्स की वजह से परेशान थे वो, इजिप्ट. देयर वाज एन एनुअल इवेंट ऑफ नाइल फ्लडिंग. सिमिलरली सेम थिंग्स यूज्ड टू हैपन इन द इंडस रिवर. So you will see that one of the reasons are climatic conditions wherein there is drought-like condition in one place and flood-like situation in another. In 2020, there was a study that was done by IIT Kharagpur, and they pointed out that the climatic conditions were the primary reason for the gradual decline of Indus Valley civilization. In that context, they had pointed out the role of a weak monsoon. ये अपनी recent study है IIT खड़गपुर की. अल्टीमेटली प्लेस तो यहीं कर सकते हैं, प्लेस तो यहां कर सकते हैं ना, इसको क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशन चेंजेस के अंदर प्लेस कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. इसके अलावा एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी है, उसकी आप लोगों ने बात नहीं करी. वो तो डिस्प्रूव हुई है, अभी रुकिए, वो मैं आपको बताती हूँ. एक नदी थी ना, जमीन के नीचे चली गई, सरस्वती. इन दैट कॉन्टेक्स्ट सबसे पहले तो जो बात आपको समझनी है वो ये है कि हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन के कई नाम, अपार्ट फ्रॉम हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन. वन is a very popular name which is known as Sindhu Saraswati civilization. Also, it is known as the Agra Ghaggar civilization. This Agra Ghaggar is identified with a Vedic river which is known as Saraswati. It is suggested that the Hakra Ghaggar river channel is something that stops, that flows into Rajasthan. राजस्थान में आगे खत्म हो जाता है ये. ठीक है. यहां पर हम देखते हैं शिफ्टिंग रिवर कोर्सेज को भी एक मेजर कारण माना गया था. One of the major sources for the decline of certain sites in Harappan civilization was due to shifting river courses or drying up of rivers. And when I say drying up of rivers, which river are we referring to? It is Hakra Ghaggar. The term Hakra Ghaggar is debatable. Some people identify Hakra Ghaggar with a different river in Afghanistan known as Harkhavati. But some historians identify it with Saraswati river. Right now, when we are talking about the drying up of river, we are talking about that Hakra Ghaggar river channel or that Saraswati which comes and ends in the state of Rajasthan. तो ये एक इंटरेस्टिंग रीजन और रहा कि भाई ये एक रिवर थी जो ड्राई अप हो गई. इसके बाद आता है आपका सबसे डिबेटेबल पॉइंट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू अ कॉन्सेप्ट विच इज आर्यन इन्वेजन. ठीक है जी. सबसे पहली बात तो इसको स्टार्ट ऐसे करो, इट्स रॉन्ग. This particular theory has been unanimously debunked by the historians. It is unanimously debunked by the historians that there was a Aryan invasion. The more approved theory which is believed by the historian students is of Aryan migration. To substantiate my statement, I will give you an archaeological example. When excavations happened in all the Harappan cities, at the time they were declining and Aryans were coming towards India. If we say that there was a possibility of war, then in the archaeological sequence, you will have to find few things. Number one, bunch of dead bodies together. भाई डेड बॉडीज तो मिलेंगी लेकिन बंच ऑफ डेड बॉडीज, वॉर हुआ है ना, इकट्ठे हमारे को स्केलेटन ही स्केलेटन मिल रहे हैं एक जगह. इट विल इंडिकेट प्रेजेंस ऑफ अ वॉर. एंड सेकेंड थिंग विल बी प्रेजेंस ऑफ वेपन्स. व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट प्रेजेंस ऑफ वेपन्स, these are your war weapons. What are war weapons? We have swords, we have shields. Spear तो animal hunting के लिए भी यूज होता है. We have swords, we have shields, we have helmets. Okay, bows and arrows, correct. Now the problem is that we have neither found this nor we have found this in archaeology. तो अगर आर्यन इन्वेजन हुआ तो चम्मच लेके तो जाएंगे नहीं मारने. Yes, you need weapons, you need swords, you need shields. Yes, and in that context, majority of the historians have disproved the Aryan invasion theory. In fact, they believe in Aryan migration. It is not that these two people, when met each other, gave a hug to each other. Okay, I am not saying that. There may have been hostilities between them regarding the occupation of the same area, but the concept of a wide scale invasion that led to the destruction of Harappan civilization is something which is disproved. How will you substantiate it? Because we have neither found any warlike weapons in the Harappan cities at this point of time, nor we have found clusters of dead bodies in any particular area. समझ में आया? Clear to everyone? In Mohenjo-daro, we have an evidence of a cluster of dead bodies, but the historians assume it was due to some kind of a widespread disease. क्योंकि आपको क्या है, स्केलेटन देख के ये भी पता चल जाएगा कि ये जो डेथ हुई है, ठीक है, ये जो डेथ हुई है एक्सटर्नल इंजरी की वजह से हुई है, इंटरनल इंजरीज की वजह से हुई है. इतना तो समझ में आ ही जाएगा. ठीक है, और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में दोनों ही आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस क्या पॉइंट आउट कर रहे हैं दैट देयर वाज नो वॉर ऑफ एक्सटर्मिनेशन दैट मे हैव हैपेंड एंड हेंस दिस थ्योरी इज डिस्प्रूव्ड. ठीक है, क्लियर टू एवरीवन? This is Harappan civilization for you. With respect to Harappan civilization, you should also focus sometimes upon the current affairs. When I talk about current affairs, students, you will see history and culture. Rarely you will find news. But we have two papers, which is your Friday review, and then in your Sunday wala jo Hindu ka paper hai, you find information regarding to art and culture. ठीक है, आर्ट एंड कल्चर के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आता है. अब जैसे यूनेस्को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट बनी ढोलावीरा, तो बहुत सारी जगह उसका कवरेज हुआ, तो हमें नेचुरली पता है उसके बारे में पढ़ना है. उसी तरह से कभी कोई नई साइट मिल गई या कोई ऐसा एक्सकवेशन हो गया जो तुमको लगता है कि यार ये इसके ऊपर सवाल बन सकता है, कि कोई नए टाइप का वाटर रिजर्वॉयर मिल गया या कोई नए टाइप का स्कल्पचर मिल गया, तो वो फोकस वर्दी रहेगा. सो वी शुड बी लुकिंग आउट अ लिटिल बिट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द एक्सकवेशंस डन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन. ठीक है, let the online students also read it. Very good. ठीक है, बहुत घबराना छोड़ दो. फर्स्ट क्लास में शब्बीर सर ने मेरे आने से पहले आपको आता है, यू विल हैव टू बिल्ड सम फेथ. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट स्पेशली स्क्रीन के पीछे बैठ के कुछ भी मत टाइप करते रहा करो. ठीक है, आई एम टेलिंग यू फ्रॉम माई एक्सपीरियंस. दिस ईयर स्पेशली व्हेन द पेपर केम, सो व्हाट हैपेंस, यू नो हाउ द इंस्टीट्यूट्स वर्क. आपके पास तुरंत पेपर आता है और फैकल्टीज बैठ जाती हैं कि हमारे को आंसर की प्रोड्यूस करनी है. ओके, फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम I think it took me 5 minutes to solve all the 16 questions of history. And I had literal screenshots in my hand and in my mind कि question आया कहाँ से. The answer that I found in my mind, the ultimate thing that I found in my mind was that, students, the focus on NCERT is a lot these days. It seems very easy. लेकिन हिस्ट्री में क्या है, ऐसा नहीं होता कि 6th क्लास में जो फैक्ट लिखा है वो 12th क्लास के फैक्ट से आसान होगा. मेरा नाम शुभांगी है, तुम्हारा नाम सृष्टि है, तो ऐसा थोड़ी है कि मेरा फैक्ट ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट है और तुम्हारा नहीं है. When we talk about history, even if that fact is from class 7th, it is as difficult. The idea is that we don't remember it. That's why. ठीक है? So one thing that I'm telling you is that the questions are on much superficial level in history. It seems that they are very in-depth, But no, with practice, you will come to know that if you read one source again and again, most of the questions can be solved simply because you know how the history has unfolded. ठीक है? Okay. चलिए. एक सेकेंड. Yes. Okay. We'll solve the question. ठीक है? आंसर नहीं बता रही मैं, ऐसे मजा नहीं आता. सबसे पहले तो मेरी नजर सेकंड स्टेटमेंट पे गई, क्योंकि ये एक ऐसा पॉइंट है जो मुझे पक्का पक्का पता है कि भाई ऋग्वेदिक आर्यंस जो हैं, सॉरी हड़प्पन्स जो हैं, वो आयरन एज को प्रिसीड कर रहे हैं. ब्रॉन्ज एज में 100% दिस स्टेटमेंट इज रॉन्ग. ये आपकी स्पीड बनाने के लिए मैं सिखा रही हूँ आपको. सारे स्टेटमेंट नहीं पढ़ने होते हैं, ठीक है? अभी कुछ ऐसा ऑप्शन है कि पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा 1 और 3 दोनों, लेकिन कई बार ऐसा होता है एक स्टेटमेंट भी हटा, ठीक है, एक स्टेटमेंट भी हटा तो हम लोग देखते हैं क्विकली 3 ऑप्शन पूरे हट गए, कई बार तो पूरा आंसर आ जाता है, ठीक है? सो कीपिंग दैट इन माइंड, ये हैबिट आप अपने अंदर कॉन्शियसली बनाएंगे कि सबसे पहले जो स्टेटमेंट शॉर्ट एलिमिनेट हो रहा है उसमें मेरे कौन से ऑप्शंस जा रहे हैं, मेरा टाइम बचेगा, ठीक है? चलिए अब फर्स्ट और थर्ड को पढ़ते हैं. ऋग्वेदिक आर्यंस जो हैं ये सारा सामान वॉरफेयर में यूज कर रहे थे, whereas Indus Valley people did not leave any evidence of using them. Rigvedic Aryans came to our country. I told you there is no war, there is confrontation which is definitely happening, okay, but there is no war that had specifically happened. I told you specifically that the Indus Valley people had not left any evidences of warfare weapons. Hence this statement is correct. Anyway, पढ़ने की जरूरत भी नहीं थी. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट मुझे पक्का पता है कि फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट सही है, क्योंकि ऑप्शन में ही इस तरह से दिया हुआ है, ठीक है? थर्ड की बात करते हैं. ये मैंने आपको इसी क्वेश्चन से रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग करके लिखवाया था क्लास में कि ऑल दो फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू नो हिस्टोरियन विल स्पेसिफिकली से, अगर कोई एकेडमिशियन है तो वो ऐसे ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट आंसर नहीं देगा, ठीक है? लेकिन क्योंकि यहां पर ही फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन आ गए इसलिए हमने इसको समझ लिया. आर्यंस domesticated the horse, whereas there is no evidence of Indus Valley people having been aware of this animal. This is correct, and hence our final answer is option C, which is 1 and 3. ये सब सिविल सर्विसेज के क्वेश्चन है. हर टॉपिक पे मैं आपको जितने क्वेश्चन आए होंगे, मेरे पास 10 से 15 साल का कंपेंडियम रहता है, मैं हर चैप्टर के साथ लाती हूँ टू सब्सटेंशिएट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, जैसे मैंने आपको हिस्ट्री के लिए बताया है, ठीक है? कहाँ गए बच्चे? इधर बी करेक्ट, वेरी इजी. पैलेसेस और टेम्पल्स दोनों के ही एविडेंस नहीं है. फायर ऑल्टर के हैं पर वो डेडिकेटेड स्पेस नहीं होती, ठीक है? इसके अलावा हॉर्स ड्रॉन चैरियट, हॉर्स जब डोमेस्टिकेट ही नहीं कर रखा तो किस बात का ड्रॉ करेंगे? हॉर्स ड्रॉन चैरियट इंडिया के अंदर ऋग्वेदिक आर्यन लेकर आएंगे, जिस चैप्टर को हम कल पढ़ने वाले, ठीक है? एंड मेल एंड फीमेल डेटीज, मेल का एग्जाम्पल बताओ पशुपति, फीमेल का बताओ मदर गॉडेस फर्टिलिटी कल्ट, ठीक है? हेंस सेकंड स्टेटमेंट इज करेक्ट. ठीक है, सेकंड तो पता ही है, कहां से मिला है, कॉटन क्लॉथ का फ्रेगमेंट, मोहनजोदारो से। वो टेबल्स याद कर लेना, ठीक है। फर्स्ट वाला जो पॉइंट है ना, ये मैंने बताया आपको, अपने मन से नहीं आता आपको, कोई भी बुक में ऐसे लिखा नहीं है। The idea is that even in NCERT, when you will read it, ठीक है, even in the NCERT, when you will read it, they have not claimed specifically to call it a secular civilization. But there are time and again examples given which show that the society was not dominated by religion. In that context, students, again, आपको कभी भी एग्जैक्ट लाइन कोई किताब में नहीं मिलेगी। बिसाइड्स उसे एक लाइन को ढूंढने के लिए कितनी किताबें पढ़ोगे? आइडिया ये है, तुम अगर एक एनसीईआरटी को 3-4 बार पढ़ोगे ना, तो हर चौथे या पांचवें बार में पर्सपेक्टिव बदलता है। इवन टुडे आई कैन क्लेम दैट आई हैव रेड द एनसीईआरटी फ्रॉम द लेंथ टू ब्रेथ टिल एटलीस्ट 20 टाइम्स। इवन इफ आई स्टार्टेड टुडे अगेन 21st टाइम, आई विल डेफिनेटली फाइंड 2 or 3 लाइन्स जो मुझे लगेगा शायद मैंने आज तक स्किप कर दी थी। होता है ना ऐसा, ठीक है। इसलिए कुछ सोर्सेस पे ज्यादा फोकस, ओल्ड एंड न्यू एनसीईआरटी। ऑलराइट, ये आपके 2 प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन है। माय ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स, माय ऑफलाइन स्टूडेंट्स, यू हैव टाइम टिल टुमारो, टेक 1 or 2 days, फर्स्ट यू प्रैक्टिस, देन वील डिस्कस, ठीक है। ऑल्सो इफ यू हैव अ लुक एट दीज क्वेश्चंस, डू यू फाइंड एनी सिमिलैरिटी? प्लीज लेट मी नो। I'll tell you that, Kushal. Wait for a second. पहले ये दोनों क्वेश्चन देखो और मेरे को बताओ क्या इनमें कोई सिमिलैरिटी है क्या?
They talk about the present day.
Both of them are talking about the traditions that are continued in contemporary times. But if you are not well trained, especially in this question, you will feel that मुझे क्या इजिप्ट, मेसोपोटामिया और ग्रीस भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा? भाई वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री पढ़ने बैठेंगे तो वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में भी एक कंटेम्प्रेरी वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री होती है, एक मिडिवल वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री होती है और एक एंशिएंट वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री होती है। वो थोड़ी पढ़ने बैठ जाएंगे हम? इट्स इम्पॉसिबल। वी हैव टू ऑलरेडी कवर इंडियन हिस्ट्री एंड देन देयर आर फ्यू एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस एंड वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री दैट यू हैव टू कंप्लीट। सो keeping that in mind, I know that in this question there is a gray area that I don't know, but 80% of the answer you know, and in that the skill comes with practice, how to best represent that 80%. Besides, it's not just you, nobody around you will be preparing the Greek, Mesopotamian and Egyptian civilizations. You'll have to understand that. Okay, so in the upcoming classes, via one question every 3 or 4 days, I am going to teach you those skills which I learned in my university days, wherein you have less information but beautiful presentation. I am not trying to promote that you don't learn the facts, but the idea is that when we are actually giving the examination, if you had remembered 20 facts about any particular topic, at the end of the day 5 से 6 से ज़्यादा याद नहीं आते। और पेपर के अंदर डाइवर्सिफिकेशन होती है। GS1 की बात करें तो सिर्फ हिस्ट्री आ रही है क्या उसमें? नहीं, ज्योग्राफी और सोसाइटी भी आएगा, ठीक है। तो अपने माइंड को स्विच करना पड़ता है टुवर्ड्स डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स, और इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में तुमको अगर 5-6 फैक्ट भी याद आ गए, यू आर गोइंग टू बी मच बेटर देन एनी एवरेज पर्सन हु इज गिविंग द एग्जाम। Okay, so this is second aspect. We will practice, although you have your separate advanced classes, but I will try to incorporate few questions per topic. ठीक है, practice them. You have to submit it on your own. मैं नहीं आ रही हूँ आप लोगों से मांगने के लिए आंसर्स, अपने आप मेहनत करेंगे and then I can definitely give you my suggestions. ठीक है जी. So tomorrow we are going to have a little bit background of the Chalcolithic cultures. And then we start with the Vedic age. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Yes, ma'am, will this PPT be uploaded for online students? Yes, definitely I'll give you this PPT. I will also give you a proper PPT which has all the notes. जो पढ़ने हैं, ठीक है, उनका प्रिंट आउट निकाल के उन पे समोसा मत खाना. You have to study it. उसको नोट्स में इनकॉर्पोरेट करेंगे, ठीक है. where to submit the answers. Let me have a word with the administration and I'll get back to you on the same. Okay, Kushal is saying recently found chariot of IVCH in Singrauli, UP. Is it significant to current affairs? You may have a read to it. There may be a match the following kind of question, but nothing is proved at the moment, by the way, if you read the article properly with respect to its connection. तो जहां पे भी डिबेट आ जाए ना, वहां बिना घबराए छोड़ दें उस पॉइंट को. हाँ भाई, यूट्यूब के बच्चे क्या डिबेट कर रहे हैं? I have given 2 attempts. This exam is not easy. These newbies are so annoying. Okay, thank you. And I will clear in first attempt. Wait and see. हटाओ इनको, इधर वालों को पूछते हैं. हाँ जी, my students, do you have any relevant doubts? Thank you so much. For the ones who don't have any doubts, you feel free to go here also. हाँ बेटा.
Because they have assimilated the
Sorry, come again.
Vedic people have assimilated the culture in the particular.
पहले तो आप ये बताओ, आप इस पॉइंट से मतलब खुद क्या समझ रहे हो, क्या कहना चाह रहे हो आप?
They have assimilated the
In their society, that's something that we'll answer tomorrow. Let's see. It's not that easy. We have always feel threatened from somebody who's not similar to us. They definitely did not assimilate them that easily. These people were discriminated against. There are multiple terms that we find in Rigved, which we are going to talk tomorrow. कल ही इसी की बात करनी है, तो अभी उसको क्यों incorporate करें lecture में? ठीक है? Okay. हाँ जी. Ma'am, Harappans worshipped only male gods. No, I have just given you all the examples of male, female, plants, animals. In case anybody wants to have a personal discussion, I'll be available. Okay? हाँ बेटा, एक बुक आप अपने आप पढ़ें, एनसीईआरटी आपको थोड़ा सा ग्रामेटिकल एरर्स, स्पेलिंग्स इनके अंदर चैनलाइज करेगी. नोट्स के अंदर अपन लोग की पॉइंट्स, बुलेट पॉइंट्स, ये चीजें लिखते हैं, बट एनसीईआरटी इज वीव्ड एज अ स्टोरी. इट विल एनहांस योर लैंग्वेज. What did we buy from Mesopotamian civilization? We were actually एक तो हमारे पास in return silver आ रहा था. Silver के अलावा you will see we were taking perfume from them and we were giving them a lot of things, semi-precious stones, we were giving them jewelry and cotton textiles, all of these things. So you don't have to really go into the import-export list. R.S. Sharma novel version. Okay, not novel, it's the publication. You can use that. The language is quite similar and it has more factual data in comparison to NCERT. If you find any doubts, we can discuss them after the class. Beta, citadel is a term which is used for the upper town, and by citadel we mean a piece of architecture which is on a raised platform. That's it. Citadel can be fortified and sometimes it is not fortified. Fortified money, boundary fortification karna. Any other doubts, students? All good. Painting is handmade, then how can it is an archaeological source? When did we classify sources on the basis of what is made out of hand? Everything is made out of hand. All the buildings are made out of hand. Pots are made out of hand. So archaeological sources are actually material remains. So we have two categories, which is archaeological sources and literary sources. Literary sources is typically your literature. And archaeological sources will incorporate all kind of material remains that we have. And in that one material remain is painting. हाथ से तो बेटा सभी बनता है ना. PPTs बेटा मिल जाएंगी. We'll the institute will be sharing it with you ASAP. नहीं बेटा, स्कॉलर्स के नाम नहीं पूछते हैं, अभी तक तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं पूछे हैं, ठीक है. और वो एकदम कोर हिस्ट्री में चला जाता है, और अगर यहाँ पूछ रहे हैं तो फिर उसको प्रॉपर एंशिएंट मिडिवल में भी यूज करने लगेंगे. दैट इज अ मोर एकेडमिक एस्पेक्ट. वी हैव मोर जनरलाइज्ड हिस्ट्री व्हेन इट कम्स टू योर examination, your UPSC examination. You don't have to remember names of maybe that दयाराम साहनी ने क्या ढूंढा था. तो ये सारे करके ऐसे मत याद करिएगा आप, अभी तक तो कभी भी नहीं आए. Anything else, students? Any other doubts? Feel free to ask. मैम गुजरात तो प्लेसेस मिले हैं आईवीसी के साउथ में. क्या मतलब हुआ बेटा इसका, दोबारा पूछो प्लीज. रिफॉर्मुलेट द सेंटेंस. महाराष्ट्र, दाइमाबाद, सदर्न मोस्ट साइड. Pavan beta, write your question in an understandable manner. Coastal area be as in, पूरा सेंटेंस लिखें. Yes, it's Lothal. Lothal as a dockyard, Gujarat. So when I'll share those slides with you, na, the sites that we have tackled with and all the excavations that we have found as a result of it. ठीक है, उसके अंदर आपको ये सारे साइट्स भी मिल जाएंगे, वो इजी रहेगा आपके लिए. Yes, read IVC from R.S. Sharma. R.S. Sharma, old NCRT, new NCRT. One chapter is dedicated to Indus Valley Civilization in class 12th. It's a good chapter. You can read that as well. I'll channelize your preparation along with the notes. I will definitely share the slides also with you guys. Okay, I think we don't have any more doubts. Thank you so much for joining me, students. whenever you feel like. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow. हाँ बेटा, questions है? Any doubts? जी बेटा, देखो सवाल तो ऐसे कुछ आए नहीं है कभी। कैलकुलेटिव साइड से जरूर रही है, इस वजह से मैंने सोचा कि भाई वो तो मैं कवर करा दूंगी। फीचर और साइट्स, जो अपने पास एक सवाल आया था ना कैलकुलेटिव साइड में, क्या आया था बताता हूँ। अपने पास एक जगह गणेश्वर जोधपुरा करके, वहां पे बहुत सारे कॉपर आर्टिफैक्ट्स मिले, तो उसका क्वेश्चन के अंदर 3 मैच द फॉलोइंग थे, सारे बहुत डिफिकल्ट थे, ठीक है। उसमें एक मैच द फॉलोइंग आपका कैलकुलेटिव साइड का आ गया था, 10 साल में पहला, ठीक है। तो आइडिया ये है बेटा कि 20 में से 5-6 क्वेश्चन ऐसे होंगे जो टॉपिक्स आएंगे जिनकी लिंकेज भी डिफिकल्ट होगी, और उनको अननेसेसरी पढ़ें, जो 3-4 साल में क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, इन लोगों इन टॉपिक्स का 10-10 साल में नहीं है। अगर ये हो गया कि 1-2 साल बाद आप पेपर दे रहे हैं, लेट्स, और आपकी किस्मत में था ही, और इन्होंने एक स्टोनेज का क्वेश्चन 15 साल बाद पहली बार दे दिया, तो उस टाइम आप ये मत सोचे कि मैंने गलत प्रिपरेशन कर ली, आप उसको अनॉमली क्वेश्चन, ये अनॉमली है, ये आज तक नहीं आते, ट्रेंड बदला है, और आपका ही नहीं बहुत बच्चों का गलत होगा। तो हम लोग ट्रेंड वाइज 80% सिलेबस करने की कोशिश करते हैं, और उसमें से ये कोशिश करते हैं कि मेरे 50% मार्क्स आ जाए और पेपर निकल जाए, ठीक है। तो समझ में आ रहा है, वेरी गुड, समझ में आ रहा है। देखो प्रोसेस तो मैंने आपको समझा ही दिया, तो आप क्या कर सकते हैं, फोकस की इन्वेंशंस पे कर लिया, जैसे किस टाइप के स्टोन टूल्स थे, फ्लेक टूल्स क्या होता है ये लिख लिया आपने, मेजर साइट्स के नाम पॉइंटर्स में लिखकर रख लिए। मैं इसलिए कवर नहीं करा रही क्लास के अंदर, क्योंकि इतने सारे कोर्स के अंदर जिन पे सबसे ज्यादा लाइक्लीहुड है, पहले मैं उन पे फोकस करूंगी इन कंपेयर टू दिस, ठीक है। अगर आप रीड करें, कोई कंफ्यूजन फील हो तो पूछ लेना, ठीक है।
YouTube पे चल रहा है।